They're visionaries. They give us all the tools to go compete and have created an unbelievable experience for our student athletes there on the campus. The brand is stronger than it's ever been, and really excited about where we're at on the football side of it, but where we're going. As I sit here today, it's hard to believe that this is the fourth time that I've been here at SEC Media Days, and I look back so proud of what our staff and our players have built, the connection, the committedness, the care factor that they have for each other in the program. 20 wins over the last couple of years, top 3 in the league, the best that it's been in 20 years on Rocky Top. As good as it's been, the future is extremely bright, and we're in a race to get where we need to extremely quickly. Proud of the culture that we've built. I mentioned that a second ago. We got unbelievable players that care about the people around them and attack every single day the right way. And they do it right on the field. They do it right in the meeting room, but they do it right in the classroom as well and in our community. As you look at us academically, we've shattered every record over the last 3 years, have reset that record for fall term GPAs. I think we had 63 individuals that were recognized by the conference at the end of the regular season. And we're fortunate enough to have some of those guys here with us today. We got 3 really special individuals that are with us today. They represent all that's good in college football. They represent what it means to be a Vol. I take great pride in that we could have had a lot of different players come with us here to Dallas and have an opportunity to speak with you. But these 3 guys have unique stories and are great ambassadors for the Tennessee Volunteers. Keenan Pili started over 37 games in his career. Unfortunately, had a season-ending injury week 1 of last year. Decided to come back for another year of college football. He loved his experience on Rocky Top and is a dynamic playmaker that's poised to have an unbelievable season. Cooper Mays, preseason All-American center, has started for us for 4 straight years. It's in his blood to be on Rocky Top. His father played there. His brother played there. It's vitally important to him, and he's a great member of our squad, and he's got great understanding of who we are offensively, the ability to communicate, and has great leadership skills as well. Omari Thomas, who is here for his 2nd time, is a 4-year starter for us at defensive tackle. He's kind of the mayor inside of our locker room. He is our SEC representative on the NCAA Football Oversight Committee, but is vitally important to who and what we are as a program. In our 4 years there, he's been a great leader every single year. This football team that we have, when we embarked on our offseason, when we got back in January, it's a unique roster in that we're really experienced at certain spots, in particular on the line of scrimmage, and we have some youth that surrounds them. The challenge has been that our young guys can't be young when we get to the fall. The leadership that we have from our veterans, the young guys coming in, buying into the culture, competing every single day. This has been a great group, a great team up until this part of the offseason, the first 3 quarters of our offseason. They've been unbelievable in their work habits, their competitiveness, how they've attacked every single rep, every single day. And I cannot wait to get to training camp. I'm ready to go compete with these guys on the grass. And I know Vol Nation is excited about the season that we're ready to embark upon as well. It's hard to believe that training camp's right around the corner, less than 2 weeks. We're ready to go compete. We got great renovations that are going on inside of Neyland Stadium, one of the great venues in all of sports, let alone college football. Our fan base is extremely passionate. Season ticket waiting list of over 15,000 people. And we'll be ready to go kick off here in a little over a month. So with that, I'm going to open it up to questions.
Thank you, Coach. If you have a question, please raise your hand. We'll get Seth, Diego, and Nolan. Please, again, give your name and affiliation before your question. So, Coach, we'll start over here to our left on the second row.
Hi, Coach. Nick Kelly, AL.com. You've got another South Dakota native in the SEC with Kalen DeBoer.
Yeah.
What's that like to have a South Dakota native on the other side of the third Saturday in October rivalry?
Yeah, I'm not sure anybody pictured two South Dakotans being in the SEC a few years ago. Kalen's somebody that I've known for a long time. I was a little bit younger, watched him as an athlete, and then through our coaching paths have crossed and stayed in contact at different times. Excited to have him in the league. Great person, great coach, and we'll be ready for Saturday in October.
Coach, we'll go down the center aisle about 3/4 of the way back.
Coach Billy Jones, George Plaster Show, Nashville, Tennessee. Last year you talked about as your program progresses, inches become harder to move than miles. I'm curious how you thought your team did in moving those inches. If not, what can you do to do that better this season?
Yeah, if I said miles, I'm not sure that miles might have been right. Certainly maybe feet or yards. I'm really proud of a lot of what we did last year. Us finishing New Year's Day Bowl, a win. The 20 wins over the last 2 years, most of that Tennessee's had in the last 2 decades. At the same time, that's obviously not the standard for where we want to get to. But proud of the steps that we took. We had some setbacks on some Saturdays, but that's why you get up, line up, and go compete every single day to go be your best. And this group's been fantastic. I'm really excited about the future of who and what we're going to be. When I took this job 3 years ago, everybody can go back and kind of research, what we were embarked on as far as challenges and how we had to navigate those. And we're at the point now where we're almost free and clear of navigating all of those things. Our roster is, the deepest that it's been by far. And inside of this league, that's important as you go through the season. I couldn't be more excited about going and lining up with this group this fall.
Coach, we'll go in the section just in front of you to the right.
Coach, Emily Grace McWhorter from the next round. You and Coach Halsley are familiar with Oklahoma. Is there anything you're looking forward to, particularly when you travel to Norman this September?
Yeah, first time that I will have been back. It'll be unique for myself to be on the other sideline. Obviously, there's been a lot of Saturdays where I was on the home sideline. But there's so many, great teammates, friends that will be there. Got great respect for the university, the program. A lot of friends that are coaching on the opposing sideline that day. Former teammates that will be coaching on that opposing sideline too. So it'll be unique to be back there, but excited to be there.
Okay, we'll go back over here to our left-hand side, 4 rows.
Hi, Travis Brown, KBTX.com. What have you liked and not liked about the helmet communicators in your practice time with them?
Practice communication, being able to take that to game day, quickest, most efficient, effective way to communicate with somebody on the field. Gives you a chance to solve some of the problems in an immediate way. I think the thing that the players would say is there's times where they want to turn the headset off and eliminate some of that communication. So I think as coaches, you always got to be smart in how much information you're actually giving them.
Okay, we'll go down that center aisle again in the section in front of me.
Brandon Ogden, Tyler Morning Telegraph. Coach, the secondaries area where y'all had a lot of turnover, brought in a lot of new guys, including Jermod McCoy. Just what is it you're expecting from him in that group this year?
Yeah, expecting those guys to play at a championship level. I love the group as far as their length, athleticism, playmaking ability, their willingness to be physical, take on, disrupt blocks, tackle in open space, their care factor, their knowledge and understanding of what we're doing. how they approach, their practice every single day. I'm really excited about it. I mentioned a little bit earlier, but this is the deepest that we've been within our roster, and that affords you to have the opportunity to have great competition every single day. That's on the practice field, that's in the meeting room, but that depth becomes important as you go throughout the course of the season as well. And I'm looking forward to that group taking a real step here this fall for us.
We'll go here to the far left on the aisle. First,
James Sale, OKC Sports Radio in Oklahoma City. Josh, it's great to see you again. You were a great
James,
quarterback.
I figured I'd hear from you at some point, man. So good to see you.
Right. You were a great quarterback at OU, and you've always been good with quarterbacks. Tell us about your latest quarterback, and he was such a highly recruited kid.
Yeah, was highly recruited because of his athletic traits. He's got the ability to throw the football sideline to sideline, vertically down the football field, extremely accurate, loose, quick-triggered arm. He's got the ability to extend and make plays with his feet. That's as a runner that's, evading and making a play down the field. The thing that I've loved about Nico is, when he came into the building, he wanted to earn the respect of his teammates. And you do that through your actions, not your words. Everybody understands how hard he works to become the best that he can at his craft. He takes great ownership in his skill set and developing it, understanding of our offense. And as a young player, gets his first start in the bowl game. One of the best compliments you can give to a quarterback is when he goes from the practice field to the game field, it slows down for him. During the course of the bowl game, it slowed down for him. Thought he was in great command out there. Now, there's a lot of things that he learned from that game. He's had great urgency in his preparation all offseason. I'm really excited to see his growth and development as a young quarterback throughout the course of this 24 journey.
okay, we'll go right in front of me, the second row, Barry.
Barry Trammell with the Tulsa World. Hey, Josh, can you reflect on 25 years now since you came to Norman? You're going back to Norman in September. Guy that came in with you, Brent's the head coach on the other side.
Yeah.
OU's joined the league that you've established yourself in. Just the crazy nature of your journey as it relates to Oklahoma.
Barry, I feel like only you could have predicted that all these things would have happened 25 years ago. As the grand wizard of Oklahoma media. Coach Leach recruits me. Brent, I got great respect for Brent, playing while he was coaching, but also being beside him in the staff room. I don't know that I ever forecasted they were coming into this league, Oklahoma. It's just, those are two really good brands coming in. Obviously, Oklahoma, my experience there. I think it's an exciting time to be in this league, and really unique that I'll have an opportunity to go back to Oklahoma. It'll be a completely different viewpoint that Saturday afternoon or evening, whenever the game is. But it'll be unique for me. I got family that still lives back there. A lot of friends, teammates, still, coaches that I stay in contact that coached me while I was there, and obviously administration too. So it'll be a unique Saturday.
We'll go stay in this section in front of me over here on the left aisle.
Connor O'Gara, Saturday Down South. Josh, why did you ultimately not bring Nico Iamaleava here?
Man, it's not about why I didn't bring Nico. It's about why the three guys that I talked about earlier are here. And these are guys that are in 6 year plus that have unique stories and are great ambassadors, but great leaders inside of our program. And felt like, in our track record, my track record of who we've brought here, we've brought veteran guys. And so it's not about Nico, it's about, these three guys, why we made that choice.
Okay, we'll stay in the same section on the right aisle.
Hey, Coach, Chris Phillips, SEC Unfiltered. Chris Brazel's a guy who's gotten a lot of hype this offseason, the Tulane transfer. Just talk about what makes you so excited about him and the rest of that wide receiver group, the luxury it is to help a young quarterback with some of the talent you've got in that room.
It's always a luxury as a quarterback to have guys that have the ability to separate, create bigger windows, that have length to go up and attack the football, have the skill set to defeat press at the line of scrimmage, let you get the ball out of your hands, not sit back there and take a bunch of hits. Chris is somebody that has got a lot of talk about because of what he's done on the field. Been a great teammate, but he's been a dynamic playmaker up until this point as we went through spring ball. And his best is still coming. He's continued to grow and mature physically. Just his strength, explosiveness, size to his frame, what he's done, since he got there in January. Really excited about him and looking forward to having a great training camp with him.
Coach, we'll go over to our right-hand side, about 3/4 of the way back.
Yeah, Dean Blevins, News 9, Oklahoma City. Josh, back on Nico, it sounds like the learning curve that you're expecting him to hit the ground running, and it's not going to be any wait till mid-season to gain your form. Is that accurate?
Well, I should certainly hope not. You know what I mean? We want him to hit the ground running. He's a young quarterback. Played really well in the bowl game. He's going to continue to grow through all of his experiences here throughout the course of the season. He's only going to continue to get better from all of those. But we expect him to play at a really high level from the very beginning, and we need that from him.
Okay, we'll go in the center aisle, straight down the aisle, right there in the center.
Hey, Josh, Trey Wallace with Outkick. The relationship with Tony Vitello and how you've been able to use the baseball program to kind of cross-recruit with football. What has that been like for the last 3 years, and how have you used Vitello to maybe land a few players on y'all's roster?
At times there's baseball, football guys that you're recruiting, so having a clear dialogue with him, I think is really important, him and his staff. But I think one of the great things, when it's going good all year long as far as your logo being in front of recruits. And so what Coach Vitello has done on the baseball side of it, or Coach Barnes has done on the basketball side of it, those are great experiences for recruits when they come to campus. They get a small taste of what Vol Nation is like and what game days are going to be like in front of 102,000 inside of Neyland Stadium.
Okay, we'll go over to our right, Coach, on the near over to the right side.
Hey, Coach. Steve Moulton, WZZN out of Huntsville, Alabama. I did want to ask about building a program, and you've done it at a couple of places. There was Central Florida and now at Tennessee. With the portal and all the portal that entails, is it easier, harder to build a program how you'd like to?
Well, I think, the portal has positives and negatives within your own roster, right? You lose some, you gain some. The portal gives you the ability to go patch holes on your roster quicker than it could happen just through general high school recruiting. It's a little bit like junior college recruiting used to be, where you had immediate needs and had to patch your roster.
Go in this center aisle, about 3/4 of the way back, right in front of the camera.
Hey, Coach, Rick Butler with Rocky Top Insider. Can you just talk about the impact of your two new assistant coaches with Inge and Sims heading into this fall, which is what they've been able to do in the spring and summer so far?
Yeah, two guys that are elite teachers, that are relationship driven. Their ability to gain trust from the players inside of their position rooms as quickly as they did parlayed itself into both of those position groups having great springs, and they've had great summers too. But just the on-field experiences, our linebackers, I thought, played with great eyes, lineman assignment, their communication, their ability to destruct blocks. They were playing their best football as a group that they had since we've been there. And Coach Sims has done an unbelievable job with the running back. It's a young group outside of Dylan Sampson that have really grown in their understanding and their football IQ. Really excited to see him continue to develop that group here as we get into training camp.
Coach, we'll go in the section in front of my table on the far left aisle, 3/4 of the way back.
Yeah, Michael Cobble, WBRZ TV in Baton Rouge. You just mentioned Dylan Sampson. What kind of role do you expect for him to have this year? Maybe an increased opportunities for him?
Yeah, he will have increased opportunities. He's a guy from the moment that he got there, had great feel, pace, and vision. He's done a great job with the ball in his hands and out of his hands. He's become a really good pass protector. He's got the ability to help you in your return game as well. after his freshman year, his ability to impact his teammates. Dylan's one of the strongest leaders that we have inside of our locker room. Just a dynamic personality that isn't afraid to call on his teammates and make sure that they're meeting the standards. He's going to have a great year for us.
We'll go back over to the left-hand side in the orange.
Hey, Coach, Bruce Marshall from WHBQ in Memphis. A schedule question for you. 2 years ago, you had that game at Pitt that I really thought kick-started you guys early in the season. And last year, you didn't really have one of those away. You had the game in Nashville last year, the opener. But this year, you got that NC State game in Charlotte, the second game. How important is that for you to get a game like that, a tough non-conference game early? Do you think that can serve the same purpose as that Pitt game did 2 years ago?
Yeah, every season's different. I'm not sure you want to necessarily go into overtime to kickstart your season, but it certainly helped. NC State's really good program. Coach Dorn's done a really good job there. They're a really good football team. That'll be a big time matchup Saturday evening over there in Charlotte.
If you have a question, we have time for one or two more. Raise your hand, we'll get a microphone to you. All right, all the way up at the front. Guys, if we could get all the way up the front. Got one right in the front row.
Hey, Josh, Tom Murphy, Arkansas Democrat. It's been a few years since you've been to Fayetteville. They're on the schedule this year. Just your thoughts about preparing for that game.
Yeah, always a great venue. Fan base is extremely passionate, and early conference game on the road. Know that that'll be a big test when we get to that Saturday.
Go right behind, second row, Jen.
Hey, Josh, Jenny Carlson with the On the Box Score. NIL, become a bad word for a lot of college football fans. But can you talk a little bit about the positives for your guys, just some of those personal stories that you've seen and the differences that it's made?
Yeah, I wish I had it when I was back in Oklahoma playing, you know what I mean? I think, for our players, in their lives with their family, it's afforded them opportunities, and I think that's important. I do truly go back to my playing days and feel like you wanted to be a part of it and have an opportunity to use the game in a positive way for your family as well. And so for our guys, being able to increase their brand, their notoriety, and also take care of their families is a real positive.
Okay, we'll take one final question over to our right, about 3/4 of the way back.
Yeah, Coach, Rob Brown with SEC Sideline Sports Network in Memphis. It's always darkest before dawn. We hear college football's ruining NIL, the portal, and everything. And here's Tennessee all of a sudden brought in $62 million in donations last year. It's pretty much idiot-proof college football. Season ticket sales. What do you tell people that keep trying to kill the game?
This is the greatest game. To me, this is the greatest game that there is. You look at the experience that young people have from 18 to 22, 23 years old, their growth as a man, and the game affords that. You learn how to set goals. You learn how to handle success. You learn how to handle failure. You learn how to lead. You learn how to get yourself ready to be the husband, the father that you want to be when football ends, and it ends for everybody someday. There's a lot of obstacles within the landscape of college football in today's world that we got to navigate, but there's a lot of really smart people that can help us navigate it the right way. And I'm excited about the future of football.
Thank you.
Coach Heupel, thank you for your time this morning.
Yeah. All right. You should be good. We should be good. We should be good. Welcome back to a SEC Media edition of Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond. And one of the games that we have talked a lot about is that Georgia-Clemson game to open the season. And they're going to be playing it in a very, very familiar place.
Yeah, and we've been talking about the impact Nick Saban's had on college football, and he helped with with our next guest. We kind of take the game of college football in a different direction. That since 2008 it's been a staple of the start of the college football season.
Yes.
The Aflac Chick-fil-A kickoff. It's one of those things where it's always a big game. It's when Nick Saban decided to decided to play Clemson in that game, and it's interesting because Clemson's in it this year. People hadn't really thought about that neutral site, big time matchup, and it really took college football to another level.
It did. And Gary Stokan is here with us, the director of the Chick-fil-A Classic, Chick-fil-A, everything Chick-fil-A with college football and the Peach Bowl. Gary, welcome in.
Thanks for having us, guys. Appreciate you being here and appreciate you having us as part of your show.
Yeah, we really appreciate it. The Aflac kickoff, and it's going to be another huge matchup, Georgia and Clemson. Gary, just talk about how this has grown. I mean, it just seems like yesterday, and people forget, that was one of the few times Alabama was an underdog to that Clemson team, and it led to Dabo Swinney taking over that program when Alabama had such a huge win in it. But talk about the impact that when you and Nick Saban kind of got your heads together and decided to do this, what it's meant to college football.
Yeah, it was really interesting. You talk about relationships, and you want to build relationships that you can have for long term. And back in 2000, when Nick was the coach at LSU, I was in my second year as the Peach Bowl CEO. Right. And Nick had called me and said, "Hey, Gary, we're trying to build a program at LSU." They were, I think, 8-4. Said, "Hey, the best bowl we can get to is the Peach Bowl. We'd love to come to Atlanta." And so I flew down, met with them, first time and last time I ever got called by a coach to play in our bowl game. And I went back to my committee and said, at the time we had an ACC-SEC contract, I said, we're going to take LSU. And we had Georgia Tech, who was, I think, ranked 12th or 14th, with George O'Leary on the other side from the ACC.
Mm-hmm.
And my committee said, no, we don't want LSU. They played Clemson in 1996. They didn't do a very good job selling tickets. They didn't do a very good job on the field. We don't want LSU. And I said, well, I talked to the head coach, and at the time I talked to the chancellor, who was Mark Emmert, who went on to lead the NCAA.
Wow. There you go, yep.
And they both committed to doing whatever they needed to do to get LSU in the bowl game. So I said to my committee, I said, well, I was in my second year. I said, well, I tell you what, we're taking LSU, and if they don't perform and tell me, do what they've told me they're going to do, you can fire me. So I put my job on the line. And, we took LSU. They sold 16,421 tickets. I still remember the number. The first day of ticket sales, which was a record, they came up. Josh Reed caught a touchdown pass from Rohan Davey in the back of the end zone to win the game and go back a month later to LSU to visit with Nick, do a survey. And Nick said, Gary, everybody that watched that game signed with us that year. And that was the Booger McFarland team of recruits that wound up winning the national championship in 2003. So fast forward now from, 2000 to 2007, when both us and the Cotton Bowl had made bids with the CFP, as they said, we want to bring on a fifth bowl game. And neither of us won the bid because they went to a double host model with the Fiesta Rose, Orange, and Sugar. That year, the NCAA legislated an additional game to the schedules. And I said, well, to my board, I said, if they're not going to let us in the BCS in the front side or the back side, we're going to start it on the front side. So I said, we're going to start a huge bowl game on the front side of the season. I called Terry Don Phillips, the AD at Clemson, who were going to be top 10 with Spiller in that group.
Mm-hmm.
And I called Nick, who had just finished 7-6 at Alabama, lost to Louisiana Monroe. And I called him. I said, Nick, I'm starting this game. Love to have Alabama come over. He said, Gary, you helped me back in 2000. I'll help you with this. And they came in, won the game 34-10. We're on the cover of Sports Illustrated. And if Nick were sitting here today, he would tell you that was the start of the dynasty that Alabama had, because the next year I had him at number 5 come in and play in our Chick-fil-A kickoff game against Virginia Tech, number 7. They won the game, and Nick told me, he says, I want to play in your game because if we win Alabama recruiting and finish second to Georgia in Georgia, we'll play for national championships. Well, that second year, they beat Virginia Tech, number 7. They won the national championship, and on his roster, he had 19 kids from Georgia.
Wow.
And so that was the beginning of the Alabama dynasty, and as you see in the future games, he's come back repeatedly to come play in the at that time the Chick-fil-A kickoff game. So now we're the Aflac kickoff game, and we've created a kickoff for a cause. As Aflac has given $167 million to start the Aflac Cancer and Blood Disorders Center at Children's Healthcare. We've given $22 million, and we now have 14 trials in 5 different hospitals in 4 different states to find cures to eradicate childhood cancer. So it's very important for us. As a bowl found in 1968, the first charitable bowl game, that's part of our mission, to use college football to give back. And we've given $63 million to charity since 2002, which is number 1 out of all the bowl organizations in the country.
So with college football changing and it's going to the 12-team playoffs, a lot of people are going away from this kickoff. How have you guys been able to keep this going? We'll get to the bowl games going, but
relationships are important. And next year we have 2 games. We have Tennessee against Syracuse, and we have Virginia Tech against South Carolina. So, we've been able to do it repeatedly since 2008. Some cities do it, New Orleans did 1 game last year and don't have a game this year. Orlando's tried it, hadn't been able to succeed doing it repeatedly. Nashville hadn't repeated it. So we've been the only one that's continually done it year after year after year. And in great games like this year, a top 10 matchup.
And then, as Scott said, with the college football playoff coming on, this is going to be a big year for Atlanta and the Peach Bowl and everything. You guys are going to be in the mix for the biggest games in college football are going to be in Atlanta
this year. There's no doubt about it. We'll have 4 games with all top 10 teams playing in them, and it's going to be it's the reason why a lot of people call Atlanta the capital of college football, with College Football Hall of Fame located in Atlanta, with our kickoff game on the front side, our bowl game on the back side. National championship this year, SEC every year. We're just blessed to have great corporate support like Chick-fil-A and Aflac. Great stadium at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Great staff that does an unbelievable job, outstanding, and in wonderful volunteers that provide good Southern hospitality.
How tough is it to do a bowl game and then turn around and do like a playoff game? How difficult is that all in the same season?
We're blessed. Mercedes-Benz is a great stadium. They have a great staff. Our city's built to host mega events. We've got 16,000 hotel rooms in the middle of downtown. Easy walk to the facilities. And our people get it. We know how to do things. We've done it from Olympics to Final Fours to Super Bowls to, national championship games to, semifinals. So we just have a lot of experience.
You really do. And what are your thoughts on that Georgia Clemson matchup? Really, to be honest with you, everybody's been talking about Georgia Alabama because it's within the SEC, but that's a huge game, really, because Dabo's trying to reestablish Clemson as a top 5 program, and we know what Kirby's done.
It really is. I mean, Clemson's trying to get back up to that, level of being the champion of the ACC. If you look at both these coaches, 4 out of the 8 last national championships have won by these 2 coaches and these 2 programs, with Georgia and Clemson. So, both programs haven't used the transfer portal much.
Right.
They develop players. Now, they both have great recruiting bases around Georgia that they use. And so they get good players, they develop them, and It's going to be a big year. I think the key to the game is probably going to be the play of Klubnik. Being a 5-star from here in Texas, being in his second year, George is going to have a fantastic defense, probably top 5 defense in the country. I think Clemson matches that with probably a top 5 defense in the country. So I think the quarterback play, as we always look at college football now, if you don't have a quarterback, you don't have a team. And so the play of the quarterbacks, I think, are going to be the keys.
How much fun you guys also, for those that don't know, the Peach Bowl does give back. And you mentioned a little bit about the Kickoff Classic, but you also have a golf challenge as well, the Peach Bowl Challenge. How fun is it to reach out to the college coaches to get them to play golf? And are some of them hesitant to play because their game may not be so good?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because they're just coming out of spring ball.
Yes.
And you have a short window to get these guys because from spring ball to, transfer portal recruiting and everything else, they get about 2 or 3 weeks off. So their golf game's not at the highest level, but they're such competitors that guys will go out and hit a ton of balls in that week before they come to our tournament.
Yeah.
And we put them in a situation where it's a Stableford scramble. So, you got a partner, you can hit off each other, ham and egg it a little bit. We try and put a retired coach with a current coach. So this year we had Shane Beamer play with Houston Nutt, played in a four-hole playoff with Urban Meyer, who played with Mike Norvell at Florida State.
Oh, wow.
So we had Florida and Florida State together. And by the end, Norvell and Urban Meyer won.
Right.
Norvell had Urban doing the chop on the 18th green as they won the tournament. But it's all back to the charity.
Yes.
We give $300,000 back to the coaches and their foundations to help them and help people less fortunate. So it's a great time. It allows the coaches, we have no media out there, allows the coaches and their wives to come in really after
kind of decompress a little bit.
Decompress after spring ball. It's just a wonderful time and a beautiful situation at Lake Oconee at the Ritz to do it in.
Wow.
Well, Gary, you do a great job with college football, and
thank you.
You and your staff. I mean, and I think Coach Saban's going to continue to be a valuable resource for you because he's for the good of the game, and the way you guys handle these teams and the relationships you have. I think the Aflac Kickoff is going to continue to be one of the premier events in college football. We certainly are looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to the Beamer Bowl. That's going to be
next
cool.
year it's going to be interesting with Virginia Tech and South Carolina.
Yep.
But you're right. Nick, I need to get him back out to our golf tournament because he's been traveling so much the last couple of years with whether going to the NFL draft. Now he doesn't have to do that. So hopefully we get him back in our tournament. He and Mark Ingram one year went to a playoff and lost in our Peach Bowl Challenge. So we'll get him back out there to play some golf with us.
Absolutely.
Are there some coaches that you sit there and you're looking, you're like, okay, you are definitely the right thing of being a head coach because the swing is a little rough.
Yeah, you see a lot of different swings out there, but I'll tell you, it's amazing how competitive these guys are, that they'll compete and grind.
Yeah.
And they'll come up with scores. And invariably, because they're such competitors, I always get calls from guys, hey, what about this guy's handicap? Because they're so competitive. So, and Steve Spurrier is 79 years old. He's still out there, competing, and he's won our tournament before. And
do they want to come? Do they call you and say, I want to come back?
I tell you what, they call me for what is the date this year? Dan Lanning, we brought Dan Lanning in the first year this year as head coach. And he said, hey, Gary, this is an elite event. I want to come every year. Let me know when it is next year so I can come back. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's a great time.
Yeah, you guys put together such a great event. August 31st, it's going to be the biggest game of the day to kick off college football, major college football, Clemson versus Georgia in Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Gary, we really appreciate the time, and thank you for what you do for our game.
Well, Drew and Jay, thanks for having me. I really appreciate you guys being here and what you do for college football to support us. Thank you.
All right, let's get a break in. More Talking Ball live from SEC Media Days coming up next.
been at my house for 15 years now.
Wow.
15 plus years.
Okay.
And interesting dynamic.
Yeah, they can be a little.
Oh, trust me, I had a meltdown yesterday with a Texas fan.
Oh, yes, you did.
Called him a dickhead.
I wish I know that Alabama and Texas just played back-to-back games, but I really wish that they either played in Austin or Tuscaloosa this year.
I know. I was shocked that series, because the SEC stopped the Georgia-Oklahoma series from going forward.
Yeah.
I'm shocked they didn't do the same with Alabama-Texas, but maybe, I don't know how it all worked out. But all right, here we go. Let me click this. Okay. And welcome back. SEC Media Days 2024 from the Omni Hotel here in Dallas. And this past offseason, we've talked a lot about the Arkansas Razorbacks, but we've talked a lot about it in several different areas. One, Sam Pittman, pressure, no pressure. Number two, his offensive coordinator, Bobby Petrino, coming back to a school where he was
king.
But can he duplicate the offensive success that he's had in the past? It didn't go so well at Texas A&M, but what is the future looking like for the Hogs?
Well, I mean, he did a good job at Southeast Missouri, but it's just fascinating that he's back at Arkansas. And the reason he is because Sam Pittman, who had a lot of momentum, for going there for a couple of years. He made a bad hire in Dan Enos, and it kind of derailed last season because I really thought Arkansas was going to be maybe an 8-win team. And it was oil and water offensively. KJ Jefferson regressed. And I thought defensively they made strides. I thought they were better, but they just couldn't score, couldn't convert in the red zone. We're going to discuss all that and more with a good friend of mine. I met him here several years ago, and he continues to rise up in the business. He's co-host of the Morning Rush 6 to 9 on ESPN Arkansas. He's also the program director, and that is Ty Richardson. Ty, how are you doing, man?
Guys, I'm good. One of those games being last year in Bryant-Denny Stadium, 3-point loss. I saw Jalen Milroe make the best throw I've ever seen from a quarterback on like a 3rd and 10. He throws over the linebacker under the safety as he's falling back. That was just the story of Arkansas football. Tough road losses, 3 to Alabama, 3 to LSU, touchdown to Ole Miss, and you somehow win in the swamp for the first time ever in Razorback history. Weird year.
And Scott and I have talked about this, about Pittman being on the hottest seat, but you make great points, though. They had so many close losses. They weren't that bad a football team. How much better can they get? And are we underestimating Arkansas, I guess is what I'm asking.
I think first off, I'm just glad that we don't have to play Alabama this year. And I say we because I'm still a fan. I'll admit that. But I think what was odd, Drew and Scott, is the road games were the competitive ones. Yeah. The home games, they got railed by Auburn. They put up 3 points against Mississippi State. They lost to BYU. It was just a weird dynamic where, most times for the Alabama and Auburn fans listening, you play well in Bryant-Denny, you play well in Jordan-Hare Stadium. They didn't play good at all in Donald W. Reynolds Razorbacks. So they've got 4 tough games. They've got LSU, Ole Miss, Texas, and Tennessee. None of those are easy games to win at home. But they get fans excited, and they just need an initial win to keep fans in the stadium, because if this thing goes south in a hurry, it's going to be a tough ask to fill that stadium up this fall.
And it almost seemed like every Saturday you had to wait until maybe the end of the first quarter to find out which Arkansas team was actually going to show up, because they played Texas A&M, and wow, you're looking at a team and you're like, okay. And then the next Saturday, it's like, wait a minute, why the inconsistency? Where did that what happened with everything?
Scott, I never thought that Arkansas's offensive line would be as abysmal as it was, and it was the weirdest thing. And I think about like Alabama under Bryce Young. They had that one, I think it was 2 years ago, where that offensive line was horrible, and Bryce was still throwing touchdowns left and right, but he was also getting sacked and hit, and he's not the biggest quarterback Alabama's had. And I was concerned just for him, like in his safety. That was KJ last year in the Texas A&M game. He got sacked, I think, in that game 7 or 8 times, and probably hit and put down another 10. It was just atrocious. And Sam Pittman, he's tried to resolve that. He's brought in a few guys in the transfer portal, but they're just not like Alabama, when I think of Alabama, I know a lot of people think about skill positions. They think about Derrick Henry, Julio Jones, and on. But I think about a guy like Barrett Jones. I think about a guy like that's what Nick Saban established in Tuscaloosa. And then on the defensive line, it's like Mount Cody. Arkansas didn't have it on the offensive line. They decent defensive line, but that's where it has to resolve.
Was that shocking considering Sam Pittman's background?
Oh, it was unbelievable. You could have bet any amount of money on any other position group being worse, and you would have lost it all because it just didn't make any sense.
Yes.
And I don't know if they miss it. Okay, Arkansas is on the same situation as Alabama, where they can't get blue chips left and right in state. So you have to live and die by the transfer portal and these 3-star kids that you can develop. Well, they misevaluated and they didn't develop, which led to one of the worst offensive lines in college football and one of the worst you can make a case that Sam Pittman has ever had.
Yeah.
And you have to, again, go up against the gauntlet that's the SEC every week, which they couldn't oppose at all.
Well, and Ty, tell me about Bobby Petrino. How out of left field was that for you guys that cover the team all the time? I know I was stunned. I know he had been at A&M. We knew Jimbo got let go, but that's just something I didn't see happening because of the way it ended for Bobby at Arkansas. The fans loved him, I know, but it was just such an awkward ending. I didn't see this coming.
I don't think anyone did, Drew, and it's kind of like the offensive line thing. There's certain scenarios that you can forecast and guess, like what could happen. Neither of those are one of them. I think the thing with Petrino is like he's not going to have the same athletes that he had over a decade ago. You remember the College Game Day segment? Arkansas fans always talk about this. In Nick Saban's office, he had the files of these different teams. Arkansas's was like this thick under Petrino. Like this is a guy that's a guru and an offensive savant, but he's just got like average guys to work with. He's got experience. They got like 93% back. You just hope that the magical remedy comes out. I don't even know if there's an Alabama equivalent, like a guy that may have been let go or fired years ago and then brought back, and Alabama fans would have been excited. But this was the best hire Sam Pittman could have made. You just hope it meshes. And the thing about the A&M situation, Petrino has come out after the fact and said he wasn't really given the keys to the offense in College Station.
Yes. Shocker.
With Jimbo.
Yeah.
I think
Dirt neck wreck something.
I could be wrong. What, 3 yards of cloud dust with that offense?
Here we go.
But
Want all the credit.
Listen, I hate A&M more than any school on the planet. So anytime we can make fun of Jimbo Fisher in College Station, I'll be happy to do so.
Well, so then what's the climate then around the fan base by losing KJ Jefferson? He's got 1 year left. You know, you bring in a Bobby Petrino who offensive minded could do a lot with a guy like KJ Jefferson. How disappointed was it to see him leave that program?
It sure seemed mutual from the outside looking in. I'm not sourced on that, but like Bobby Petrino didn't necessarily come out and say, I want KJ back. KJ didn't ever seem to, sometimes you have a conversation with a coach or spirit. It's like, hey, I don't know if this is a good fit, which seemed like the Dan Enos team the year before, the year prior. But I think with Taylon Green, he's been on this kid since high school.
Okay.
This is not some kid he plucked out of the portal.
Right.
He recruited him to Missouri State. He elected to go to Boise State instead.
Cherry picked by Bobby.
Yeah, like intentionally. And we had a conversation with him. Like, he knows he's going to get coached hard, but some guys, even in 2024, want that because they want to get better. He's got the measurables at 6'6". He's a 4'6", 4'7" guy. So it's not like he can't see over the line of scrimmage. But again, he's throwing to guys that aren't All-American. He's not throwing to Ole Miss as wide receivers. He's not throwing to, let's say, Henry Ruggs or Devontae Smith or some of the guys that Tua and Bryce used to throw to. I mean, it's just an average. It's an experience, but it's an average core, I'd say.
Well, and what about they lose Rocket Sanders? He spent most of the year banged up. It was huge 2 years ago, maybe the best running back in the SEC.
Mm-hmm.
He goes to South Carolina. Well, how is the running back core right now heading into this? Because Bobby Petrino, he likes to run the ball too. That's kind of something. He's kind of like Steve Spurrier. Everybody thinks he wants to throw it all around, but he's usually a balanced guy when it comes to play calling.
I was told by a coach a while ago, Drew, that like Bobby Petrino throws to set up the run. You know how some coaches run to set up the pass? He's the opposite. You think about what they brought in Jaquindon Jackson. They got the kid, I think it's Rodney Hill from Florida State.
Right.
And then they've had Rashad Dominion. You mentioned Rocket Sanders, who transferred. AJ Green, their backup, went to Oklahoma State. He's unfortunately injured, so he won't play in that second game of the season against the Hogs for his own sake. But it's just, again, it's another okay skill position. Now, you would rather have a much improved offensive line and just average skill position players. I mean, there's been a year here and there where Auburn and Alabama have been incredible up front, and their skill position has just been okay, but the offensive line makes everything better. The quarterback, the wide receivers, the running back. So if there is marginal improvement, that offense is going to be better. I don't know if they're going to lead the SEC in scoring, but anything is better than what they were last year. My goodness, God. It was like watching, like, think of like the Shula years, or watching an Alabama group that would just want to make you claw your eyes out. That was what Arkansas fans had to endure last year.
Auburn fans have gone through that because Gus Malzahn did not recruit offensive linemen.
Yeah.
And he didn't develop offensive linemen. So, they all come from that tree, and it's kind of mind-boggling. You mentioned the schedule. No Alabama on the schedule, but there's other ones there that's going to, you take one off, but you still have an SEC schedule.
It's part of it, man.
Yeah.
But I think Arkansas fans, think about this. So Tennessee finally beat Nick Saban, right? That finally happened.
Yes.
Arkansas never, from 2007 till the end of his career in Tuscaloosa, never beat Nick Saban. So, not to say that it would be easier against Kalen DeBoer just automatically, but Arkansas fans, I think, are tired of playing Alabama. I was. You chalked it up to a loss. There were some close games here and there. 07, when the game right before didn't go to overtime, but it was a great game. 2010, the late Ryan Mallett. There's some games sprinkled here and there that Arkansas had chances, but they blew them every time. So you're right. You would take Texas over Alabama just because the rich history of that rivalry, even though Texas might be better this year, which is kind of odd to say.
Yes.
But it could be reality. If Quinn Ewers, the key on that is if Quinn Ewers stays healthy. Because if he's not healthy, Arch Manning's not leading this team to an SEC championship in year 2 as a redshirt freshman or whatever he'd be.
Well, defensively, they made a lot of strides under Travis Williams. I think he was a good hire. Landon Jackson's back. I know Xavier Sori is a guy they're really excited about. They got from Georgia to play at the linebacker spot. I would think that the expectations are pretty high on that side of the ball.
Yeah, here's the deal, though, Drew. They lost Chris Bupal to Ole Miss.
Yeah.
They lost Jaheim Thomas to Wisconsin, who's going back to play for Luke Fickell, who played with at Cincinnati. Sort of like their 2 top leading tacklers. So their linebacker, they have a solid defensive line. They've got a good to okay back end. But their linebackers are thin, man. You got this kid, Brad Spence, that people were excited about. You mentioned Sori. They brought in, I think it's Dix from the Marshall and Florida State. But it's still like one of those things where you don't have any experience there. And they might be okay, but when you lose, like there's no Drew Sanders, there's no Martrell Spate. They don't have any guy that you're for sure on. And that's scary if you're Travis Williams. And kind of odd that he loses his 2 best linebackers when that's his position group.
Right. What's a make or break number of wins for this team this year?
Sam Pittman gets to 6. He's staying on. And I think he deserves it. I would say, anything below that, they could keep him at 5 and 7, but that's as hot as it gets. I think, in my personal opinion, I think Billy Napier has the hottest seat in the SEC in Gainesville.
Yes. He also has the hardest schedule, I think.
Miami, Florida State, UCLA.
And those 5 games, that 5-game stretch in there, you couldn't pay me enough to stand on the sideline.
That's awful. And I'm curious, guys, Sam Pittman, I think it's 6. I'm curious, though, if Florida makes a move in the offseason, do they go hard after Lane Kiffin?
I think Lane Kiffin goes hard, and he has said this over and over. Lane Kiffin goes hard after Florida.
But I'll tell you what.
Interesting.
Because he has such close ties to the Sunshine State.
Yeah.
Like, he loved FAU and living in Boca, but he couldn't stay there and make the money and, climb the ladder as a coach. He could have said, okay, I'm satisfied. I'll stay here the rest of my career. But he's ambitious. He's still young, so he wants to continue to move up the ladder. I think a couple years ago, I think he wanted Florida and Miami. He tried to get in the mix for both.
Yeah.
Didn't happen. I think he's going to try to get it, but I'll tell you this. We discussed this on the show. I think if I were Florida and they have a great year this year and their schedule sets up and they have a very talented team, I would go after Drinkwitz before I would go after Lane Kiffin.
It's a good coach, man. Drink is another Arkansas guy that got away. He's an Alman, Arkansas, played at Arkansas Tech. Keith Carter's the athletics director at Ole Miss, doing great things there. It's just funny how people were leaving the state and then having success. But I think Drink I'm curious if he pops off today. They just won 10 games. He likes to run his mouth every once in a while.
Kind of beat that chest a little bit.
Yeah, and he'll get after Arkansas fans a little bit, but does he do that with the SEC? Does he do that with other teams? We're talking about schedules earlier, how difficult Florida's is. Missouri has a cakewalk. I mean, if they don't get to 9 or 10 wins, I don't know what they're doing. And even Kirby Smart was like, with Georgia's schedule, in Tuscaloosa, in Austin, in Oxford, he was like, I guess this is the schedule we got. Now we're going to treat it like Georgia would, but it's like, even he was like, man, we got a bad draw here.
Is it difficult, or is it how different is it to wrap your mind around the fact that, and I'm sure Arkansas fans, and there's a lot of fans, I mean, I think Arkansas, Texas A&M, you're going to have several other fans, South Carolina, they're going to have to come to the realization that they're the 10th or 11th or 12th best team now in a league, not fourth in the, we just don't want to be last in the East or last in the West. Now you're the 13th or 14th team in the SEC.
Yep. And that's where they're probably going to be picked when they deserve to be. Arkansas did nothing last year to show any SEC media member that they are worthy of being picked in the top 10. And I think it's like you come to the idea of like with football, it's not just Arkansas though, that I think like Oklahoma and Texas, there's a reckoning coming. And I think Texas is going to be like Coach Saban. I think they're going to be in the SEC championship game, but I was looking at Oklahoma's schedule again this morning just to make sure I'm not just way off it. I think they're going to go 7-5, and how that goes in Norman with Venables and how they kind of figure things out. They won 10 games last year, but again, even being like 8 or 9 now in this league is not a bad thing. It's just, like we were talking about, Drew. It's bowl eligibility.
Yes,
but it's like baseball. I mean, baseball got I think 10 teams in the NCAA tournament this year. That's what football is going to get, if not more.
Yep, no doubt. Well, ESPN Arkansas, Ty Richardson, Monday through Friday, the morning rush, 6 to 9. We appreciate the time, brother.
Yes.
Continued success. Program director also at ESPN Arkansas. Thank you for talking some Razorbacks. And we're all rooting for Coach Pittman, man. We love him. We hope he can get it turned around. It's just this league is so tough. But maybe with Bobby Petrino coming back with a secret sauce, they can get it done.
Let's hope so. It's going to be an interesting radio year.
No doubt. Thank you, man.
Yeah, you got it.
All right, let's get a break in. Talking Ball live from SEC Media Days 2024 continues after this.
You're listening to SEC Media Days on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Are you feeling tired? Are you feeling sluggish? Gentlemen, Game Day Men's Health. Game Day Men's Health is here to help you. Braden is here. Braden, you've got the answers.
Thanks, Scott. Whether it's low T, erectile dysfunction, weight loss, or a number of other things, we have a solution for them.
It's Game Day Men's Health. Give them a call today at
256-850-1570.
You can find them online.
GameDayMen'sHealth.com.
Hey! What man wouldn't like to have tests done in a man cave?
That's right. Come in for your free test and consultation, walk into a world-class staff, a comfortable, relaxed environment, and we got your results in about 20 minutes with appointments less than an hour.
And the big game is always on the TV. It's Game Day Men's Health. Give them a call.
256-850-1570.
You can find them online at GameDayMen'sHealth.com/Huntsville/The Zone.
AL cert number 21014.
As the summertime approaches, and if you are in the business for a new air conditioning unit, only one place to call, Talon Heating and Air. Thomas from Talon Heating and Air with us. Thomas, this is the time.
That's right. People are needing HVAC, air conditioner repairs done left and right, and we're here to serve.
Talk about the services that Talon Heating and Air can provide.
So Talon Heating and Air, we can come out, we can fix your unit, we can replace your unit, or we can just do maintenance on your unit. We cover all aspects of anything to do with your house and HVAC, from mini splits to gas pack.
In the name of free, Talon Heating and Air offering several free things.
That's right. We're offering a free second opinion. We always offer that year round. And then we're also offering a free service call with a repair during regular hours. So
okay, it's Talon Heating and Air. Give them a call at
256-503-4490.
You can also find them online at
talenthvac.com.
Give Talon Heating and Air a call today.
There's power in caring when it is put into action. Each year, our bankers serve on nonprofit boards, support our local educators, and volunteer with our hometown food bank. I'm Bobby Humphrey, Vice President of Business Development for Bryan Bank, and community service is just not a line item in our mission statement. It's who we are. Because after all, Alabama is our home too. That kind of commitment to community might not be what you would expect from a bank, but it's exactly what you can expect from us. Give us a call or stop by one of our 2 offices in the Huntsville area and experience unbeatable service and legendary results.
Bryan Bank Equal Housing Lender, NMLS ID 2428943, member FDIC.
You want the right specialist for your recovery. At SportsMed Orthopedic Surgery and Spine Center, we understand every body is different. Your muscles and bones are unique, as is your body. Our SportsMed specialists offer innovative treatments and minimally invasive procedures, allowing you to quickly return to the life you love. Locations in Huntsville, Madison, Athens, and Decatur, and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com. Improving performance, improving lives.
Check, 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 check. That was okay. And good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to SEC Media Days 2, a Tuesday in the doghouse. Not sure that we're going to get a top 10 in here today, but we do have a lot of ground to cover on this day that features Georgia and Tennessee and Oklahoma and Missouri. So this is the first time that we hear from an SEC newbie with Brent Venables coming up at the top of the hour. So just a message to the guys at Command Central. We are going to have Venables live at 12:50, and then we're going to go right over the top of the hour to about 1:20, and then that's when the break will come, all right? So just alerting the guys down the line as how that is going to work out. Now, look, I finally found the bullpen area where the fans are assembling. Now, I saw 3 Tennessee fans and 4 Georgia fans. I miss the fans. I mean, Oklahoma is here this afternoon. Let's see how they represent. And Thursday afternoon, Texas is up. I mean, will this place be overrun with Texas fans like Atlanta is for Georgia and Alabama and Auburn when we're in Atlanta? Or like how Tennessee shows up when we're in Nashville, even Vanderbilt. I mean, Vanderbilt had at least like 30 fans. I mean, there's 7 downstairs the last I checked. There's an escalator where the teams come in to get dropped off, and the coaches and players come on up this particular escalator. But I mean, you know, this is nothing like it was in the past in terms of the fan participation. I miss the fans. I mean, there was always tons of Alabama and Georgia fans and fans from about half of the league. Ole Miss would fill the bullpen. Mississippi State would have a bunch in Birmingham. The fans were always part of the story. Remember, complete with the costumes, the guy with the big ring on his head, and people would dress like Bear Bryant and Gene Stallings, and there would be all kinds of wackadoos out there, and they were part of the story. They'd have TV cameras on them and everything else. I mean, it was just that's not happening anymore. It's just really not. The fans are not down there. They're not in it. They didn't even have to rope them off. They didn't even put up any kind of thing that they roped off the escalator to come upstairs, but they didn't rope off anything else. They're like, yeah, whatever. Yeah, anybody wants to show up, they can show up. And it's just crazy. Now, on the other hand, I told you that at my first SEC Media Days in 2004, there were about 350 assembled media there. There are a record 1,300 media members here this week. There are 46 media outlets on hand. 46. Okay? Now, next year, that's going to be limited to about 30 due to the tight quarters at the College Football Hall of Fame. It's going to be broke down to there'll be about 30, and that'll be about it. So we'll see. Now, we'll try and get some Kirby Smart in there from this morning for you. He did a nice job. He spoke highly of Nick Saban, and then he told a story about being in the car coming from the airport with his players earlier today, and they were talking about NCAA 25, which dropped today, I guess. And Kirby was like, how are they going to keep that thing on the shelves? He said to the kids, how are they going to be selling out like crazy? And the kids just broke out laughing. They're like, yeah, coach, it's not like you go to the store and buy the thing. I mean, it's not one of them deals, you know. He also talked about the entire team. I thought this was something really cool. I am into some of the little things that high school teams and college teams do as team building exercises. We used to burn the shoe. You know, and at the end of the final practice, we would take and have a gauntlet, and we would have all the seniors line up in a row. And then at the end of the line of the gauntlet, we would have an old cleat, and we would put it in a metal bucket, and we would set it on fire. We'd soak it all day in gasoline, and then we would set it on fire, and we would call it the burning of the shoe ceremony. And the seniors would all get up as the shoe was burning, and they would talk about what their experience in high school football was. I thought that was a really cool thing. Now, having said that, Kirby talked about something that they are doing now. He said that the entire team gets up in the first team meeting. The entire team gets up and they tell the history of their name. So they would stand up and they would say, Thomas Joseph Abraham. I'm named Thomas because of my uncle, who mysteriously died when he fell down a flight of stairs back before I was born. And Joseph is my father's name, so that's the father's name. Abraham is my father's last name, the portion of my family that came from the Middle East, and we're Lebanese. And my mother is pure Sicilian, and my father is half Italian and half Lebanese, and that's where the name Abraham came from. So that's why I'm Thomas Joseph Abraham. So that's what you would do. You would get up and you would tell the story of your life, of your name, utilizing your name. And when you think about some of the unique names that some of the African-American players have on teams, it could get very, very interesting. And when you talk about your personal family history, you kind of let us know who you are. I was thinking about implementing that, for the radio show. Like when you call the show, you would say, I am Daniel William Zolinsky. My last name is Polish, and Daniel is named after Daniel in the Bible in the den. And I don't know, whatever you are. You know what I mean? Maybe I should do something like that. Like when we introduce Grizz, it'd be like Chad, Walter, Guati. I don't know if that's his middle name. I don't know what his middle name is. But Guati is Slovakian and second generation. My grandparents came over. And Chad is was born during the hanging Chad scenario in Florida when they did a bad. I don't know. I'm just saying. I think it's kind of cool. Know who you are and make sure that your teammates all know who you are. I really like that. I like that. He also mentioned the game at Auburn last year. He was asked about Auburn last year and the fact that they trailed and had to come back to win that game. He said that Auburn, in his experience, all his years at Alabama, and then, of course, with Georgia, they play Auburn every year. He said that it's one of the most difficult places in the country to play. He said it doesn't even matter. It doesn't matter if they're a 500 team. It doesn't matter if they're a national contender. It doesn't matter if they suck. Auburn is one of the most difficult places in the country to play, and they did come back from behind to win that game last year. He also likes the SEC championship game, and he was asked if whether or not he thought that the SEC championship game should be done away with, and that there's no need to have that extra game, especially if you're going to play potentially 3 playoff games and to win a national championship. And he said no, SEC championship game is key. I said winning the SEC championship is the thing. They've won SEC since he's 9 years now at Georgia. 9 years. And he says that they have won SEC championships at Georgia and not won the national championship. And the 2 national championships that they've won since he's been there, they did not win the SEC championship, which is, of course, if you're an SEC fan, you know that that's the case. Josh Heupel was up today as well. The most interesting thing he said, I thought, was that he is a fan of NIL. He was asked about the NIL. He's got an NIL quarterback that's making a lot of money. He was asked about NIL. Everybody just thinks that NIL and transfer portal are all the same thing, and they're not the same thing. Okay, NIL has a lot of positive elements about it. The transfer portal has a lot of negative elements about it. All right, they are related in the terms of people are throwing money at different players to transfer and come and get NIL money. But if you're getting NIL money out of school, you should have to sign some sort of contract. You have to be there for a certain number of years, something. Tennessee, by the way, he said he wished they had it back when he played. I wish I had asked that question because I certainly would have followed up with, so what did you get? I mean, Josh Heupel won a national championship quarterback at Oklahoma. You're telling me that Josh Heupel didn't get free meals? Didn't get to play golf at the local golf course? Didn't have a car to drive? I mean, come on. Nobody asked me that question. Nobody followed up with that question. But he talked about the fact that Tennessee he didn't talk about it. Somebody else mentioned it, that Tennessee has some $62 million in donations just last year. $62 million in donations into their fund for NIL. Now, this is just me speaking. They need to have like some sort of a salary cap on that thing somewhere. They got to do something. It can't just be an arms race. You need to have some sort of a salary cap on that. All right, Gary Stokin from the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl is going to make his annual visit with us in a few minutes as well. And then we'll see what else falls out, because that's the way it rolls here. All right, we will hear the Brent Venables presser live, and we'll see what happens after. We may talk to Paul Feinbaum today. All right, he is aware and alert. Vince Ferrara, who was on this morning, I think, with our guys, he will slide by possibly at some particular point in time after Tennessee gets done with his rotation. So we'll see if we have an opportunity to talk to him. The lines are open no matter where you're listening to the show. You can call into the show 256-576-4977. 256-576-4977. Get you on the air with me. You can also text the show, 732-9TA show. Love to hear from somebody listening in Franklin County on our affiliate up there at ESPN 1340 1069. Love to hear from you guys in Winchester, my hometown. That number 732 if you're Alpha Challenge, 732-982-7469. My X feed is at Tom Abraham Show. The Zone is on X at 97.7 ESPN. And go ahead and give a follow to at ESPN Winchester as well, our affiliate up in Franklin County. Not Franklin, the town, but Franklin County. Check out the YouTube channel, WZZN TV. We're streaming live there as well. Subscribe to that bad boy and you get hooked up. Get the apps. For the Zone, they have an app. Soon ESPN Winchester will have an app. Snag that boy and snag the Talk Radio WZZN app as well for all your Rocket City Trash Panda action. I want to get in a general observation about Nick Saban. Now, I have been set up in the main media room right in front of the SEC Network stage. So I have been able to, at times, watch Saban's demeanor when he's not on camera. Now, those of you that have been watching some of the SEC Network coverage have seen an energetic Saban, and, you know, he's had some very good stuff to bring to the table. I'm watching him, though, when he's not on, when the camera's not on him, when the lights aren't shining. I've been kind of looking over at him when it's like, you know, when the coaches are up there speaking. I got to tell you, I think this is brutal for him. I really do. He looks like he wishes he was still holding court on that stage. And so far, no one has commanded the room like he did. And no one has the gravitas that he brought to the podium. The same way that Lane Kiffin is not Steve Spurrier and Kirby Smart or anyone else is not Nick Saban. Okay? You know, they do all these things each night to entertain the assembled media. Like tonight, the Cotton Bowl people are hosting some sort of a bowling night or what I was bean bag or whatever the thing is at a joint called Bowl Games. Maybe it's not a bowling place. I don't know. I don't go to that stuff. I don't go to the after hours stuff. But I'll tell you this: if you got Saban, Spurrier, and maybe Urban Meyer up on the stage for a little Q&A on the state of the game, the room would be packed. Packed. I'm telling you. But I think if you could climb inside Nick Saban's brain, he'd be saying, what the hell am I doing here? It's just me now. This is just me. But I suspect that something more was in play when he made this decision. I'm just saying it. All right. Back at Command Center, playing the Platters That Matter and the Stacks of Wax and manning the phones and just taking care of us. It's the one and the only DJ Grizzy Grizz.
Who in the blue hell are you? What is your name? It doesn't matter what your name is.
I'm the producer of this show. If I didn't step up, you're nowhere. I put this thing together out of spit and polish.
I mean, this is ridiculous. It's a radio show. It ain't a 1 hour television spectacular.
I think this is one of the traits of a really good producer. Keep the talent happy.
I'm all jacked up on Mountain Dew. That Tom. Hey, Tom.
He may be the smartest person that I've ever met.
Testosterone high today. What's that? Testosterone, whatever the it is. Testosterone.
I wake up in the morning, I piss excellence.
It really doesn't matter what you think. It really doesn't matter what you say.
Hey, Grizzlicious, how you doing, my man?
Oh, chilling, just hanging out and holding it down here in Command Center for sure.
listening to all these great conversations and listening to what coaches have to say before we head into this great season.
Probably doing a little bit more than just hanging out. I'm going to say that you're a little more active than just like hanging out. You make it sound like you're sitting there and you got your feet up on the desk and you're just kind of, chilling like a villain. I'm going to say you're doing a little bit more than that.
No, it's pretty easy. It's pretty laid back here. Yeah. It's not so bad. Yeah,
it's good.
We not too many problems. Knock on wood, nothing like that. So
yeah.
Not going to any hacky sack or anything after hours or anything.
Well, nobody here is either. I got news for you. I mean, nobody's going to go to that stupid thing. I mean, come on, you got to be kidding me. That doesn't make any sense. All right, let me get LSU Lynch. He's been holding since yesterday. I think he called yesterday sometime early, and he's been holding since then. So let me get LSU Lynch in here. Lynch, have you been on hold since like 1 o'clock yesterday afternoon?
No, I don't hold the Wolverine Dan phone call during the season. Look, my thing is, let's talk. Okay, is this or is this not? Is this just a preview? Because my question is, are we making the picks now like what we do every year when we do all the SEC teams over and under? Are you just giving your opinion and then we're going to pick them next month, or are we picking them now?
No. The future fecta is not in play yet. The future fecta is coming after all of this is done. I'm just picking because I'm here, and I do this every year. I've done it for 20 years. Since I am here, I'm just going ahead and picking what I think is going to happen for each team. I'm not saying over or under. I haven't even put out what the over-unders are with the win totals. I'm just telling you I think that LSU is going to be 9-3 or whatever I said. That's the deal.
You say South Carolina. I heard Grizz. Did y'all say 5-7 or 4-8?
I have South Carolina. Grizz had them at 4-8. I have South Carolina at 5-7.
Okay. So then you got my text message. Then
I did, and I deleted it. So I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know exactly what your picks were. But when we do. I mean, I saw what they were. You said under, I think, for LSU and under for somebody else. But when Ole Miss, when we get to it, when we get to the future, for those of you that are new listeners, what we do is each year we do a future fecta, and I will give you ultimately over a couple of weeks, I'll give you 8 colleges and their win-loss total, and you'll pick over or under, and then we'll do it with the NFL as well. So, but that's coming. That's our thing. We start after SEC Media Days.
Well, I just wanted to get that clear out there because I just jumped the gun, apparently, because, we said it.
I know you're excited. You're locked and loaded.
Look here, man. I'm 64 years old. I ain't getting no younger to lose or win.
I hear you. I hear you, brother.
Got these new listeners up there, with a new channel. If they're not familiar with it, educate them. Because I always say, educate all the listeners and the listeners. But I'm going to tell you what, it's going to get covered up on here come next month. I'm telling you.
Yeah. No, I hear you, brother. All right, man. I appreciate
I'll go ahead with this. Look here, we want a picture of you and Drew doing the cherry bomb in the pool.
Yeah, not going to happen, probably. I avoid, if Drew's in the pool, I try to stay out of there. I'm just saying. All right, man. Appreciate you. It's a good job by you, LSU Lynch. All right, we get a short break in here. When we come back, Gary Stokan will join us, our annual discussion. And once again, for the however many years in a row it has been, he did not bring me a leather helmet, so I can't put a leather helmet on and take a picture. I don't know why he doesn't bring the leather helmet. Everybody on Media Row would take a picture wearing that leather helmet, but maybe next year. We'll see. But we'll talk to Gary Stokan next, right here. It's the Tom Abraham Show, SEC Media Days.
You're listening to the Tom Abraham Show on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Tom Luganbill here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
Hey folks, Bob Baumhauer here. We're extremely proud that Baumhauer's Victory Grill has been serving Alabama for 43 legendary years. Our motto is legendary fun, legendary food, and we strive to make every dining experience a special one for all of our guests. Our menu features delicious, always fresh and scratch-made in-house recipes. And of course, our award-winning wings and sauces. And don't forget, our happy hour and halftime daily specials cannot be beat. Baumhauer's Victory Grill. Legendary fun, legendary food.
You don't have to go somewhere else just so you can go somewhere new. Plan your next vacation with Huntsville International Airport and Breeze Airways. Enjoy friendly, convenient, nonstop travel to some of the most exciting destinations in the U.S., including the home of 12 world-famous theme parks, Orlando, Florida. With flights starting as low as just $49, Breeze has got you covered with easy, breezy, nonstop flights to Orlando. Make all their dreams come true. Book nonstop to Orlando now at flybreeze.com.
When I chose a garage door company, I did my homework. I needed Precision Overhead Garage Door Service. They have a 5-star Google rating. I checked the reviews and liked what their customers had to say. Precision Overhead Garage Door has lifetime warranty packages. Same-day service if I call before 2 p.m. If they can't make it the same day, my service call fee the next day is waived. They did a 25-point safety inspection on the door and operator. Now that's peace of mind. Residential, commercial, and gate services. Precision Overhead Garage Door Service. Call 256-400-4500.
You need a lawyer and pick up the phone. I'm attorney Gary Lackey. When you call for a lawyer, where does that phone ring?
I was there for the
rings in my office.
I'm attorney
AFCA Coaches Convention. I was coaching
in my office too.
So does mine. I'm attorney Jennifer Lackey. And when you've been hurt and need help, we're the ones who take your call.
The Lackey Law Firm. The Lackey Law Family. 1-800-4-RIGHTS.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
Owen Home Appliance Center features the biggest names in home appliances like Viking, Whirlpool, Maytag, KitchenAid, GE, and Frigidaire. But they also have great brands that you may not know, like Mela, Forno, Z-Line, Invisicook, and Beko. But no matter what, they all get delivered the day you buy, and they service everything they sell. And at the Lacey Spring Showroom, just 8 miles south of the river on 231, you'll find a totally interactive showroom where you can hear the dishwashers wash and the freezers free and see the cookies get baked in the double ovens. Owen Home Appliance Center will even wash and dry a load of clothes for you so that you can see how great the products are. And they have ice machines making all kinds of ice, cubed, nugget, and top hat. How is that for variety? Owen Home Appliance Center believes in community involvement as well, sponsoring youth teams, race cars, and an annual Easter egg hunt. Quality products, quality pricing, quality service is the name of the game for Owen Home Appliance Center. Find them in Somerville and Lacey Springs and online at owenappliance.com.
Every game matters as the Atlanta Braves keep battling in the East, and you won't want to miss a pitch.
3-2, that's hit very well to deep center field. That's heading back towards the batter's eye and way out of the ballpark.
Friday night, the Braves are back from the break, and Truist Park is open for business as Atlanta gears up for a weekend against the St. Louis Cardinals. Braves Radio goes on the air at 6:05 Eastern, 5:05 Central on the Braves Radio Network.
Today's coverage of SEC Media Days is brought to you by North Alabama Mortgage, serving the states of Alabama, Tennessee, and Florida. Your home loan starts here. Online at NorthAlabamaMortgage.com.
And welcome back. Tom Abraham Show. This segment brought to you by our sponsor today, North Alabama Mortgage. Listening in Alabama or Tennessee, those of you listening in Tennessee or down in Florida, North Alabama Mortgage has you covered. You know, average home equity is at an all-time high, but so is average consumer debt. And even though the rates are higher, you can use your equity in your home to pay off high consumer debt, student loan expense, and so on. And if you're interested in buying an investment or a second home at the lake or the beach, like Gary Stoken has, then they got great programs for that as well. Go to NorthAlabamaMortgage.com. Lake Lanier is where your lake house is that right?
We're Lake Oconee.
Lake Oconee?
Yeah.
All right, so Gary
That's
Stoken,
where our
by the way,
golf tournament is.
how many of these will you do today when you're making the rounds? How many? There's 46 stations here. Are you doing 30 of them or
37?
37?
Yeah.
But this is the best one. I mean, let's be honest, right? I mean,
double dipped.
Yeah.
Had you guys in the morning and now in the afternoon.
Well, I mean, this is the best show. I mean, I'm just saying, we'll just throw that out there.
Not because your son's here, right?
Not because he's here. No, but it's good that he is here. It's amazing. I've worked with multiple sons of mine. In fact, I have a son now that owns a station in Tennessee that we're also on.
How about that?
And you've met him too. My oldest son, Joe.
That's cool.
My youngest son, John. So yes, it's great to be able to have the family business if you know. So anyway, Lake Oconee. 1986, 87, somewhere in there, my wife and I get one of those invitations to go see Reynolds Plantation.
Right. Yeah.
And so I was 26 years old, 27. I was just a couple of years older than him. And we had looked at a corner lot, and I really wanted to buy this corner lot. It was $29,000 for a corner lot.
That thing's
it was
probably $2 million now.
I know, it was on a pond, and of course the golf course was there and the lake. And for me, I'm a golfer, I'm a fisherman. I mean, it was just perfect. Man. And it was Reynolds Plantation, and we passed at the last minute. I had to offer in on it, and at the last minute, I couldn't get myself to pull the trigger on it on this lot for 20. I thought I'm in my 20s. What am I doing buying a lot on a vacation property? At the time I lived in upstate New York. I was still coaching, and I'm like, why would I do this? And so I didn't do it. And yeah, you're right. I mean, the lot alone is.
I wish you remembered the lot number and everything, because I'd go by and show you pictures. There's probably a $2 million, $3 million house on that lot right
So that's where you guys do your golf tournament with the coaches, the college coaches?
So I have a place down at Cuscawilla, but we do it over at Reynolds at the Ritz.
Right.
We put the coaches there, give 300 and X thousands of dollars away to the coaches' foundations to play.
Nice.
And it's a great time. It's after, you coach, so it's after spring ball, where it's really a good time to decompress.
Right.
You have your wife with you. The wives get a chance to visit. The coaches get a chance to talk about all the things relevant in their lives, play some golf. It's a great time.
Yeah, it sounds like a wonderful time. All right, so it's going to be a wonderful time in Atlanta for the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. You get the thing started with a game that, who knows? I mean, theoretically, you could see those same two teams back there in January playing for the national championship. Theoretically, you got Clemson and Georgia.
I mean, Georgia wants to play 3 times in Atlanta this year, 1 in the Aflac kickoff game, 2 in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl quarter, and 3 is the national championship game. Georgia wants to play 4 times. Throw the SEC championship game in there for Georgia. So, yeah, everybody wants to come to Atlanta, which is great. And, it's the reason why they call us the capital of college football.
And I understand that you were heavily involved in bringing SEC Media Days back to Atlanta next year, right?
So next year we got
SEC Media Days.
we talked to Herb Vincent and Mark Womack about, doing something. We did something last time they were there, party for the media. And so we're already thinking, what can we do? Major League All-Star Game is there next year. So maybe there's some kind of tie-in we can do.
That would be, that's all we do now. We just follow around the Major League All-Star. I don't know where the All-Star Game is in 26, but we'll be there. It's with SEC Media Days for sure. It's a great venue when we go there at the College Football Hall of Fame. Yeah. Now, it's much more compact than this. I was talking to one of the guys, Craig Pinkerton, and he said there's 46 here this year. They're going to limit it to 30 to 33 next year because it's so tight in the Hall of Fame. But having said that, the atmosphere is spectacular. I mean, you're kind of like looking down on the main media room and with the glass and everything. And there are fans. And I will say this is 21 years for me. You've been with the Bowl for 28 years or something like that. But I miss the fan aspect of this. I really do. I mean, I checked to see what was downstairs earlier. There were 3 Tennessee fans and 4 Georgia fans.
Is that right?
Mean, that's it. I mean, when we're in Atlanta,
was obviously the Nick Saban factor, right? No matter
I think it's the Dallas factor is what it is.
It was Atlanta or Hoover, you were going to follow Nick Saban.
And I think next year there'll be a big contingent of Georgia and Alabama fans there in those days. Tennessee, Auburn, those fans will all show up.
True.
They had that area, downstairs in the lobby to be be open. In Nashville, they had the Tennessee fans and the Alabama fans. They go everywhere. Yeah. Kentucky came down a little bit, the Blue Mist, and it's just here. It'll be interesting because this afternoon Oklahoma, and then Thursday, Texas. So will Texas fan? I mean, it just means more, right? I mean, if they need to know the way you roll here in the SEC.
Right.
That lobby needs to be full with Texas Longhorn fans.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah.
It will.
It will. So
Should be some Oklahoma people out there this afternoon, I would think.
I would hope. You would think we came to their part of the country, so you would think it's not that far from Norman. That's for sure. But man, what a year this year! Of course, with the also with the national championship game. But this Clemson Georgia game is a tremendous game, and the Chick-fil-A Kickoff Classic. I mean, there've been so many great games there. But you mentioned Nick Saban. That I was there that day when Alabama announced their return to prominence, and it was against Clemson. Clemson was number 9, and Alabama was barely in the top 25.
That's right.
And we remember talking about how was Alabama going to handle the speed of Clemson. They had that little receiver Ford, that slot guy, and everything.
Spiller was a running back.
And we're like, man, see if Alabama. And then all of a sudden we walked out of there 34-10. Alabama had won, and they never looked back.
That's right. And if Nick were sitting here, he'd tell you that was the start of the dynasty.
There's no doubt about it. That was when they announced they were, because the year before his first year, they were 6-6 and won a bowl game, so they were 7-6.
Lost to Louisiana Monroe.
Yeah, that's right. They lost to Louisiana. My oldest son, the one that owns the radio station in Tennessee now, he was on that staff. He was a student assistant on that staff. I have a picture of him standing next to Nick Saban, and they both have sick looks on their face.
Wow.
When they're getting beat by I held my son responsible for that, by the way, for years.
And so did Nick. Right?
I told him. I said, that's why he went to Middle Tennessee the next year, because he was responsible for that loss. To those guys, but just talk a little bit about the impact on college football, the money that you guys raise as well, because it's more than it's a football game and then it goes away. You guys have raised a ton of money with this game.
Thanks for that, Tom. Yeah, it's really interesting. We were founded in 1968 as the first bowl game for charity. Most bowl games, Rose Sugar, Orange Cotton, who are 85 to 105 years old, were founded for economic impact, bring people to their city during the downtime. We do that, obviously, but we had a different mission, and that was to give back. We've given $63 million back to charity, which is $20 million more than any other bowl organization in the country. And that's part of our mission. The Aflac kickoff game is a kickoff for a cause. September is Childhood Cancer Month. And so we're going to raise, $200,000 to $300,000 to give back to our Aflac Cancer and Blood Disorders Center in Children's Healthcare in Atlanta, where Aflac's already given $167 million. We've donated $22 million to that. And we now have 14 trials in 5 different hospitals in 4 different cities. Mm-hmm. So, we're using college football for the greater good.
Yeah.
And giving back through college football.
Do the now at the Aflac Kickoff Classic, do you break out the leather helmet as well, or is it just for the Peach Bowl?
No, the old leather helmet is just for the kickoff game.
Oh, just for the kickoff game. So at the Peach Bowl, you won't use it at the quarterfinal game.
No, we have the George Crumbly trophy for the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. But when we started this event, the kickoff game, I wanted to have a trophy that was similar to the Stanley Cup, where the coach and the players could all enjoy it and do something with it. And so we came up with the old leather helmet to harken back to the College Football Hall of Fame. We're coming to Atlanta, and we've got every coach from Nick Saban to Kirby Smart to Dabo Swinney who have won kickoff games wear the old leather helmet.
Yeah.
And then it's great. The players love putting it on and doing the Heisman pose and passing around in the locker room. So it's a great trophy to have.
Media members would love putting it on too if you'd ever bring the darn thing here to
Well, next year we will get a picture of you. I think we got one, didn't we?
No, I've never. I keep harping on you about it, but we haven't.
Next year we will get a picture of you in the old leather helmet in Atlanta.
Is there? I mean, there's a different one every year, right? I mean, they get to take it to the school and stuff. Right. It's not like they're passing around the same.
That's right.
Old leather helmet deal like you do with the Stanley Cup.
We let them take it home.
Yeah, that is. It's such a great tradition. And under your watch, the Peach Bowl went from It was one of the middling bowls to becoming part of the Big Six bowls, if you were. When I grew up as a kid, when we grew up, there was the Big Four, and it was the Cotton, not the Fiesta.
That's
Remember
right.
that was a Cotton Bowl,
exactly.
rose sugar, and orange.
Yeah.
And now, the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl is boom. It's right there,
thank you.
on that same level, and in the rotation for national championships like you'll be this year. So you'll start the season and end the season right there. And I want to say, I was telling you before we got started, I was at the Kickoff Classic in '92. Or was it January '93? It was the first game at the new stadium. Yeah.
Oh, in Georgia Dome.
In Georgia Dome.
Yeah.
The first game at the Georgia Dome.
Peach Bowl game.
So was that January of '93? Was that January 1st? Was it? It was the '92 football season,
right? Yeah.
But I don't know if the game. I think the game was the 30th or something.
Yeah, it was
something like that. And so we were there for that. You opened the stadium and did it there. But it was the Kickoff Classic games. That was Peach Bowl. The Kickoff Classic games. You guys were kind of like the inventors of that, if you will. These neutral site games.
We resurrected the idea. You grew up north, and as did I. And they used to have the kickoff game in New Jersey.
Yeah.
And they did away with it. And we resurrected the idea when we lost the bid to host the championship game for the BCS in 2006. Us and the Cotton Bowl put in great bids. We didn't win. They went to a double host model, if you remember, with Rose, Orange, Fiesta, and Sugar hosting their bowl game, and then 2 weeks later, the national championship. And so similar to that year, the NCAA legislated another game on the schedule. So I went to my board and I said, well, if they're not going to let us in the BCS on the backside, we're going to create the BCS on the front side. And I said, we're going to create this new game that's going to be a bowl type atmosphere. And I called it the Daytona 500 of college football.
Yeah.
And within a month, I got a cease and desist letter from Daytona 500 saying, please cease and desist using Daytona 500. But that's what we were doing. We were putting a huge game at the beginning of the season because prior to that, most teams were playing non-directional schools. The score was 50-0. People were leaving at halftime. The viewership on TV was negligible. And I remember John Skipper was CEO of ESPN at the time, and he came to our first game, and he was wowed by not only the attendance, but the atmosphere we created in the TV viewership.
Yeah.
And he said, Gary, can you do 2 of these in a day? And we did do 2 in a weekend.
Yeah, I remember
in
that.
the past. And in 2020, I had 3 games scheduled in a week, which was never done in college football, but COVID hit, and we had to cancel all 3 games. But
you used to go Saturday and then Labor Day, right? I remember you had a couple of quick turnaround Saturdays.
And
now you have a doubleheader next year.
We'll do Saturday and Monday.
And you're going to have the Battle of the Orange, right? You're going to have the Big Orange
Syracuse.
and the Big Orange. I mean, I grew up near Syracuse, so
the Beamer Ball. We'll have Virginia Tech versus South Carolina. So Frank Beamer being Virginia Tech guy, Shane Beamer coaching at South Carolina now. So just recently saw Cheryl Beamer, who's Frank Beamer's wife, at Publix up at Lake Oconee, where they have a house. And she was saying, Gary, what are you doing to me? What am I going to do that day?
You've also brought back some color-on-color games, which I thought were really cool.
Yeah.
You did some of that NC State and Tennessee, I think, when red and orange.
Definitely. I love
the color-on-color games.
On that green field just looks tremendous. So it's tough to do with, Syracuse and Tennessee, obviously.
Well, blue and orange. Yeah, it depends.
Yeah, we'll try and do it with South Carolina, Virginia Tech will be a little difficult to do. But, any chance we get a chance to have both teams in their color uniforms, we're going to do it.
Well, I've been saying it for a couple of years, ever since talk of expanded playoff and everything, and people are talking about the bowl season and whatnot. You're on the cutting edge of something, probably long after, our careers are done. But I have said, why not kick off the season with bowl games? Kids won't be opting out. Take this whole bowl process, which is now bastardized anyway. It's not all on New Year's Day and all the holiday games and everything. Just take the whole bowl process. Can you imagine starting the season with a whole week of bowl games? I mean, how cool would that be? And then we can have our playoff, at the end, get down to serious business. But, man, these games at the beginning of the year, that's what I love. It's like a bowl atmosphere.
Well, to your point, Tom, people are dying to watch college football because it's been 9 months since they've seen their team play, number one. Number two, they're undefeated. So
Yeah.
there's such a feeling of
We're chomping at the
exuberance.
bit, yeah.
Right. Number 3 is, the players can't wait to play. So you get a high level of play because they're excited to be on the field. And fourthly, it has a huge implication, or it has in the past at least, to the CFP selection committee. So, it's relevant.
Yeah.
And I tell my bowl compatriots, hey, look, at the end of the season, you're getting 6-6 teams playing. The fans, are they traveling? Is the TV all that great? You got to move those to the beginning of the season and play a huge game at the beginning of the season.
Nobody's opting out.
We've
on
done
week
it for
one.
17 years now and been very successful with it.
I think everybody should do it. I think we should have a whole week of bowl games right at the beginning of the season. All right, your guy's waving his hands at me and stuff, so he didn't realize that this is the one you spend the most time on out of the 36 that you'll do. But no, it's always great to see you, Gary.
Good
I appreciate
to see you, Tom.
you.
Have a great college football season.
Absolutely,
We'll
and we will see you in
hopefully
Atlanta.
at the
I'll see you in
playoff.
Atlanta at the SEC championship game for sure.
Yeah.
We'll be there for that.
Good deal.
And,
Look forward to hosting you.
and it'll be a good month. It'll be a good 6 weeks from the SEC championship game to the national championship game. That's going to be fun.
That's exactly right.
Over in Atlanta. All right, Gary Stokan has been our guest. Thanks, Gary.
Thank you.
All right, we'll grab a break here, and when we come back, we'll see what's falling out next. It's the Tom Abraham Show. We are on location, SEC Media Days, right here on the Tom Abraham Show.
Appreciate you.
No problem, man. Thank you. So he's Mike Gundy's brother. I'm glad I didn't say anything more about him. Tom Abraham Show on location, SEC Media Days here in Dallas. Brent Venables coming up here in just a few minutes. We'll have that for you. Speaking of Oklahoma, Grizz, you'll get a kick out of this. Cale Gundy came over, right? Cale Gundy was a quarterback at Oklahoma in the late 90s, and then he stayed on the staff there with Coach Stoops, and he ended up coaching at Oklahoma for some 25 years. I guess he started in 97, which was my last year of coaching. And he actually worked for Watson Brown first at UAB. And then he ended up back at his alma mater and coached there for 20 some odd years with Bobby Stoops. So I said to him, he looked kind of familiar. And I'm like, I remember Cale Gundy as the quarterback at Oklahoma. I said to him just offhandedly, I said, you're not related to that nut over at Oklahoma State, are you? And he said, well, that's my brother.
Good way to do it. Yeah, good way to make it funny.
Good job by me, right? He said, and I said, well, tell him to stop talking about getting hammered and driving, will you? For God's sakes. And so I saved it a little off there. Tried to save it there a little bit, but he wanted to just share information, and we share. I gave him my card, and he's texting me, and he's like, I'll be your Oklahoma guy. So he's basically starting in the media now, and he's working with a radio station and doing some stuff. He may come on a little bit later on in the show. We'll see what falls out after Brent Venables. All right, let me get Paulie in the Cape here while we're waiting for Brent Venables to take the podium. Paulie, welcome to the show. How are you?
Good afternoon, Tom. I don't know why you're wasting your time at SEC Day when we keep talking about Dolphin football. I guess.
Well, we are talking about football. SEC. We're talking about SEC football, and golf doesn't start till Thursday. Till the British Open gets going.
It's always good to talk about Dolphin football. But anyway, can't wait for college to start. Everybody's chomping at the bit. Right around the corner. NFL, they're starting to check in. The rookies and the skilled players are starting to check in. It's right around the corner, and I believe, I'm going to call it out now, Tennessee wins at Oklahoma.
Kansas camps open up this week. They start opening up, and I saw the Chicago Bears will be in camp this week, and a couple other camps that are open this week. By next week, everybody's camps will be open. We are only 3 weeks away, 2.5 weeks away from the Hall of Fame game as well, and then it's on like Donkey Kong. Then the college camps will open, and away we go.
I just got a quick question. Is Nick Saban going to be on College Game Day in the morning?
Yeah.
One of the
Yeah, absolutely. That's the deal he did with ESPN. He'll be part of the game day staff.
So, am I going to call it now that he is going to inherit the job when Lee Corso moves on?
I think that's already had. Lee Corso is going to be a contributor. You're not going to see a lot of Lee Corso on location. He'll be a contributor, but thanks for the call, Paulie. I appreciate it. He'll be a contributor, and Nick Saban will be holding down that coach's spot on game day. Let's go to the podium with Brent Venables being introduced now by Greg Sankey.
Last year, the Sooners went 10-3 overall, 7-2 in the Big 12. They ranked third nationally in total offense, fourth in scoring offense, and led the country in defensive interceptions per game. It was great for me to be in Norman just over 2 weeks ago for the celebration event, including a chance to visit with Brent and other members of the Oklahoma staff. And so we're really pleased to welcome to the stage the University of Oklahoma head football coach for the first time at SEC Football Media Days, Brent Venables.
All right, good afternoon. Appreciate everybody being here today. Great to be back in the great city of Dallas, where our roster is represented with close to 20 players. I'd like to thank Commissioner Sankey, his staff, for putting on as always, a first-class event. I'd also like to thank Commissioner Sankey for being in Norman July 1st and helping us as a university, helping us transitioning to the SEC. What a great day it was. I know you got your steps in that day, and but just really appreciate your leadership through all of that. I'd also like to thank our president, Joe Harris, and our athletic director, Joe Castiglione, for not only their leadership, but their alignment, their strength, their vision in one of the most tumultuous times in college football history, transitioning to the SEC for, again, their leadership, over the last 3 years, their vision for where this program is going, and most importantly, positioning Oklahoma in a great way as a newest member of the strongest conference in all of collegiate athletics, the SEC. I've brought 3 players with me today, and I would be remiss if I just didn't thank them for standing alongside with me here today, representing what I believe is the strongest group of leadership and accountability that I've been a part of while I've been at the University of Oklahoma. And the things that they stand for are all the right things when it comes to being a college football player. That's off the field, that's on the field, that's making everyone around them better. These are young men that have achieved at the very highest levels, both in high school and in college. You're looking at Jackson Arnold as a former national Gatorade Player of the Year, or you're looking at Billy Bowman, an All-American safety, Danny Stutzman, an All-American linebacker, and the humility, the leadership, the work ethic, the toughness, their love for their teammates, and most importantly, their love for their university and their opportunity. I just really humbled that those guys are leaders in our locker room. Very, very thankful for them, and y'all are going to have a great time getting a chance to visit with them here today as well. Really looking forward to getting things started here at the end of July. Really excited about our football team. We've got a great blend of both experience. I believe we have, give or take, around 24 players that are going on their third or more year as a starter in college football. And we also have this amazing foundation of youth. We have 52 scholarship players that are either a freshman or sophomore going into this year. We're going to welcome 53 players this season that have never been at Oklahoma in the fall to run out on the field. And that's 38 scholarship players and 15 walk-ons. We do have, again, a lot to look forward to. We have, I love the direction of this football team and the development since January that's taken place, but we still have a lot of work to do. A lot of excitement, but we got a lot of work to do. We still have an opportunity over the next several weeks and couple of months to continue to develop, which I think is going to be critical as we chase an opportunity to compete for an SEC championship. It goes without saying, the SEC is a deep, incredibly competitive league, unlike any other in college football, and everything. Again, about this league is about parity. It's about competitive depth, and it's a one-possession league. As we've looked at it, outside in, you've got incredibly challenging venues. Every member of this conference, top to bottom, is committed to the excellence that this conference represents. And so, as a football program, being in our first year, we are really looking forward to the challenge.
All right, Coach, thank you for your comments. We'll take questions now. If you have a question, please raise your hand. Please give your name and affiliation. Seth, Diego, and Nolan will get a microphone to you. So we'll go ahead and start up here in the front. If we'll go to the front row. Bob.
Hey, Brad. Bob Holt, Arkansas Democrat. I had a two-parter if that's okay. Kevin, he knows me, so he can help you if you forget the other part. I was wondering if you could talk about Jackson Arnold as your quarterback. I know he played in the bowl game. How big was that? What are you expecting? And then I know he's won a lot of titles and Heisman's and all that, but how ready do you feel like OU is for the SEC transition?
Well, Jackson understands, better than anybody what goes into being a quarterback of a football team, of a locker room, the leader, the face, the responsibilities, the challenges. What I feel best about and have the most peace about is his ability to be able to handle the highs and the lows, the challenges, the success, the failure that a season will bring you. Nobody is more competent or more ready. Now, even though he's a young player, And we've got to, in some ways, be the headlights for him. That's why they call us coach. But his skill, his arm talent, his toughness, his instincts, his ability to lead people, bring out the best in people, no question about it. He's ready for his opportunity and his moment.
And the success of OU combining with the success of the SEC. Is that the
I'm sorry?
part of your question, Bob?
I really don't know how to answer that other than we're excited for the challenge. As competitors, as a football program, Oklahoma, isn't intimidated as a football program. We're running towards the SEC. I think that goes without saying. We've looked forward for the last several years for this partnership to be a part of an amazing conference, the best conference in college football. How ready we are, we're excited for the challenge. I think you have to go through it. I think it's probably, as a coach, I think going through it gives you the best litmus test. There's nothing that you can read about or even watch on tape, to be honest with you. We know the challenges from a roster standpoint. The trenches is where this conference is decided, usually year in and year out. Incredibly challenging from that standpoint. The length, the speed, the play at quarterback, the coaching acumen from top to bottom. Again, you're not going to sneak up anywhere, any week in any venue and show up and luck up and win. And so it's a conference it's about earning what you get. And I think going through it, a season, you'll figure that out. You'll figure out what was good, what wasn't good, what the areas of your program, your roster that need improvement so that you can match up and have an opportunity to compete for championships.
Coach, we'll go on the section straight in front of you, 3 rows back, straight ahead.
Hey, Brent, Colin Wilson with the Action Network here in the front.
Hey, Colin.
2 new changes to college football. You're going to have live video on tablets on the sidelines in between series. You're also going to have communication in the helmet, so 15 seconds left. How big is it that Danny Stutzman's coming back to this defense?
Yeah, again, in regards to the new legislation passing the sideline tablets, is going to be able to show live video. I think it's a great resource. I think making sure you have very limited amount of time to coach through these moments on the sideline. It'll be useful in some ways, and you just want to make sure that it's not distracting in other ways. In regards to the helmet communication, I think it's going to allow offenses to be even more efficient. Again, you only have it on one guy on defense. It's a little different than the NFL. Now, there's a few teams in the NFL that do a little bit of tempo at times, but a little bit different from a defensive perspective. And again, sometimes, too much communication can be a bad thing too. And so there you'll find that balance as a program and as a player. Some players will receive it better than others, but it can be a real competitive advantage to me offensively to be able to be in the ear of the quarterback 15 seconds prior to snapping the ball. And then having Danny back, it's tremendous. I mean, what I have the most appreciation about is his motives are pure, and certainly he's got big dreams to be an NFL player, but the humility in the decision-making process, like I can get drafted at a pretty high level. I had an excellent grade, and I've had plenty of guys take the grade and go with it. But he wants to go and have a long career in the NFL, a career of longevity, one that he can immediately show up to the NFL, the most difficult league on the planet, and make an impact wherever he is. But he's just 20 years old. And so he had a real practical, process that he went through. Like, I have so much more to give to the University of Oklahoma and to that locker room. And he wanted to be one of the leaders to help take us into the SEC and leave his legacy and leave his mark that way.
Coach, we'll go over to my left-hand side, our left-hand side on the near aisle.
Hey, Brent, Alex Miller from the Bryan College Station Eagle. You touted how many players you guys have from this DFW area. How do you anticipate recruiting maybe changing to continue landing guys like Jackson Arnold or Billy Bowman, knowing how imperative recruiting an elite roster is now going against schools like A&M and Arkansas for those same guys in the same league?
Yeah, we've been going against all of those teams, for decades. And so it's always competitive. The one thing that I know about teams from the Southeastern Conference is the coaching staffs, their recruiters, their facilities, their fan bases, their history, their heritage. Everybody's got a lot to sell. And people from a recruiting standpoint are absolutely relentless from beginning to end. There's nobody that's not that way in the Southeastern Conference. So you gotta. It's a long race, and again, tough to get good players. But the good thing is there's plenty of really good players for everybody to get. And you got to be able to win the race and run in the race with endurance. Probably is the best advice.
Hey, Coach, we'll go over to our right here in the front row.
Yeah, Brent, Dean Blevins, News 9, Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
Here we are, Coach. I saw a quote from an SEC coach saying that OU's biggest adjustment will be along the line of scrimmage. Back to that question. How do you evaluate the status right now at the line of scrimmage for the Sooners?
Yeah, I think we're in good shape, and we'll find out where we need to be better. I'm certainly far from satisfied. We've, over the last, 2.5 years, we've worked really hard at developing a roster that is balanced, that's strong in the trenches and in all the right places. We've had guys leave to graduation. We've had a lot of success on the offensive line. I think Coach Biedenbow in the last, decade has had, 13 guys drafted on the offensive line. I think 10 tackles, as a matter of fact, which is the best in college football. So we're going to lose guys. So we got to attract guys as well. And so wherever we're at today, we're focused on continuing to enhance that part of our team and to recruit more competitive depth. But I really feel good that we have somewhere in that 9 to 11 range on the offensive line that are guys that can play winning football for us. And on defense, you're in that 10 to 12 range up front on defense, on our defensive line. Now, again, there's several guys that maybe don't have this depth of experience, but I trust my eyes and what I've been able to see. And wherever they're at, we've got several young guys that be a part of those numbers that I spoke about. And this is a game of development. So going against good people is going to make them better. And so we'll be able to get a really good litmus test going through our schedule this year.
Coach, we'll stay over here on my side of the room on the near aisle back near the stage.
Hey, Coach. Nate Sanchez, Dallas Morning News. Josh Heupel talked about it earlier. You go way back with him. You won a national championship with him. You coached him. You coached with him. Can you talk about your relationship with him and what that reunion in September will look like?
Yeah, so I was speaking about Josh earlier. I have this deep appreciation for Josh, certainly first and foremost as a player, to experience my first national championship as a coach. I've always looked back and said, man, we couldn't have done it without Hype. His leadership, what he was able to do from a transformation standpoint to our locker room, the guts and the toughness that he played through that 2000 season. So I've always held him up here on this pedestal when it comes from a player standpoint. No surprise, as a coach's son, the level of success that he has had as a coach. I've stayed in touch with him pretty much every step of the way through this process. We competed on the field in 2014, and he went to Utah State and then to Central Florida and then to Tennessee. And so we've stayed in touch through those moments of success and some of the moments that the challenges of a football season will bring you. So a great friend, he and his wife Dawn and their children, really good friends of ours, and just really happy for him and the success that he's had. No surprise. He's always been a winner.
Coach, we'll go in the center aisle straight ahead of you in the third row.
This is John Burrows from On Texas Football. Y'all play Tulane in week 3, a game that
probably looked a lot easier at the time it was scheduled than it does today. How does playing those tougher out-of-conference games help prepare your team for the rest of the SEC schedule? And can you tell me what you expect from that game?
Well, again, I look at we don't have a preseason in college like, say, the NFL does. So, we have respect for everybody we play, and anybody can beat anybody. And the last time Tulane came to Norman, it went down to the last drive or two of the game, and Tulane having an opportunity to win. And certainly we know they beat USC in the Cotton Bowl year before last, and so I don't know, any other way to prepare for the season other than you practice and you play games. And so this will give an opportunity to see where you're at, and every week is a season of its own, and so we'll treat it as much.
Coach, we're going to go in the section straight ahead of me on this left aisle.
Hey, Brent. Connor O'Gara, Saturday Down South. Do you think horns down should ever be penalized?
Should be penalized, like on the field? Is that what you're referring to? I don't really have an opinion. Football is a game of emotion and intensity and passion. And if they say that's going to be a penalty, then don't do it. And if they say it's, free for all, then have at it. So everybody's different. Everybody celebrates different. But whatever rules that they have in place, we'll follow those.
Okay, we'll stay in that same section on the right aisle. Kirk?
Kurt Bowles from the Houston Chronicle, Brent. You and Texas are in lockstep going into the SEC. And I don't know if you and Sark are going to be sharing information as y'all go into the conference together, but do you see the Texas-OU rivalry changing in any way?
I don't. I don't. And it's as deep-seated and hate-filled and emotional of a rivalry as there is in all of college football. So I don't see how the conference affiliation, will make a big difference. What I would say is that, that's one of many games that you're going to have to find a way to grind it out. If you think that one is emotionally taxing, you're going to go into a lot of venues that the pageantry is going to be real. Those stadiums are going to be completely full. And a lot of people are going to hate your guts for 3 hours or so. So, I don't see it diminishing, that series and the emotion and the pageantry, the intensity of it whatsoever.
Coach, we're going to go over to the right side in the front row, over to your right and over towards there.
Hey, Coach. Ken Capps from Football Writers of America. Every coach that has stood on that stage so far has been asked about Texas or Oklahoma and what their impact is going to be on the league. What do you think that says about Texas and Oklahoma joining the SEC?
Well, again, I think it's a partnership of elite with elite. And, again, two programs that in the history of college football take a backseat to nobody. The SEC doesn't take a backseat to anybody. From our leadership to the quality of the teams, and really it's every single athletic team on those campuses. It's unmatched, and so we both have programs that have had elite level success with all of our athletic programs, certainly football included. And I just think it fortifies what was already the strongest conference in all of college football.
Coach, we'll stay on the same side in the same row over here on the right.
Hey, Brent, George Stoyas here, Scoop.com. Wanted to ask you about the new rules of analysts being able to coach on the field. You guys have, quite a handful of guys. How big of a difference is that for you on the field, and how are you going to approach that as a head coach?
I think it's fantastic from a development standpoint in helping young coaches develop in the profession, getting opportunities, creating value for themselves, having experience through it, maybe even having another lens. Now that I'm just not standing there with my hands in my pockets, I'm actually I actually get to coach every day. I think in some ways it'll help you be more efficient. I think you have to be careful that, more is not always better. But it does give you another lens and another set of eyes, and maybe again for you as staffs to be a little more efficient. And I think ultimately the players, if done the right way, will be benefactors, of that.
So we're going to go in the section right in front of me, back in the center, but 3/4 of the way back.
Hey, Brent. John Sokoloff with WCBI TV. Obviously, Jeff Levy was on your staff the last couple of years, and now he's entering his first head coaching job in the SEC. And just overall, what do you think of him as a coach, and how do you think he'll do as a head coach?
Yeah, I love Jeff. Jeff is one of my favorite people on this planet. He's always in a great mood. His perspective on life and the game of football and on the locker room, real juice and energy, genuineness and positivity. He's a coach's kid, so the game and the locker room have always been a sanctuary for him, which helps him be a very successful coach. So really confident. He'll do a great job. He's aggressive. He's innovative. He relates well to people. He brings out the best in people. He has the ability to instill confidence in the simplest ways. And I know he's put together a really outstanding staff. He's led athletic director Zach Selman, known him for a long time. And Zach is an assassin of his own, young athletic director that has a tremendous future as well. And I know the passion in Starkville, Mississippi is very real. And so they'll support him in all the right ways to be successful.
Okay, Coach, we'll go in the center section just along the aisle.
Hey, Coach.
Hello.
Emily Grace McWhorter from the Next Round. Welcome to the
Thank you.
SEC. OU announced that they have a new football recruiting structure, specifically Curtis Lofton as a general manager, similar to Courtney Morgan at Alabama. What inspired this structure change, and how do you feel like it'll give you an edge in SEC recruiting?
Yeah, and I really look at it as, an opportunity to, I'm focused on our locker room. And, what I have an appreciation for is our leadership from our athletic administration. Again, Joe Harris and Joe Castiglione for their forward thinking, for their ambition, looking ahead to where things are moving. And, it's constantly changing, evolving. So we've set up our systems in such a way that allows us to be flexible, to be able to pivot when we need to. Things haven't really landed in a hard space yet, but this allows us the agility to be able to manage wherever it does land. And at the end of the day, it's recruiting. There's a professional way to look at it. In some ways, we're like the NFL. In many ways, we're not. We don't get to draft. We don't have multi-year contracts. And so things are in some ways the same, but in many ways not. This gives us a way in the collegiate model to hopefully put us in a position of strength when it comes to not only resources, but most importantly with our systems in place. And at the end of the day, it's all about helping the players be successful as we build the strongest roster that we can. And so from player evaluation to player acquisition to player retention, that's really the focus. That sounds like a recruiting staff to me, but there is a piece of it in Jake Rosenthal and his organization. Partnering with them is going to allow us to manage some really choppy waters. And I say choppy only because we haven't been there before. From a potential salary cap of some sort, when this does all land, there'll be some sort of a salary cap. And so, we'll be able to, tap into their expertise and their skill set to help us be on the front end and the cutting edge, if you will, of that space.
Okay, we're going to take one final question in the section right in front of me, about 3/4 of the way back.
Hi, Brent. Brian Cruz with Sooners Wire for USA Today. With Ted Roof going to UCF and Jeff Levy, as mentioned, going to Mississippi State, can you talk a little bit about Zach Alley as your defensive coordinator hire that you handled this winter, and Seth Luttrell and Joe Finley taking over as co-OCs?
Yeah, so I know there are coordinator changes, and going into the SEC with coordinator changes on paper, that sounds really daunting, and in some ways maybe it is. but our relationships go back a long time. Obviously, Joe John and Seth were already internally at Oklahoma, known both of those coaches. Joe John, since he was 17 years old, recruited him from Arlington High School, played for his daddy, Mickey Finley. And in Seth, he was a sophomore captain, football player for us on our national championship team. And we've all kind of grown up in this profession together. So I've had a different type of lens when it comes to those two young coaches, incredibly skilled, both of them, tremendous instincts for the game, great toughness that our players will benefit from. They understand ball. They understand a locker room. They understand what competitiveness looks like, and they understand what it means to be a great teammate and to bring out the best in people. So these are leaders of leaders. What they were as players, they have the same skill set and talent as coaches. So really excited about transitioning and continue to move forward as an offense with those two guys in charge, along with the rest of our staff on offense. Bill Bedenbow, Coach Jones, Coach Murray, the rest of our support staff, fantastic group of men, really talented. And then Zach, he's got a unique story. Zach he came directly to Clemson and jumped into coaching as a freshman at Clemson. His dad played at Clemson. His brother was a baseball player, played at Furman, and comes from Zach was an outstanding player himself. He just chose not to go the walk-on route or the FCS route as a scholarship player, and chose to chase his dream as a young person. Incredibly bright, always forward-thinking, always has the players in mind when it comes to learning and being able to play fast and aggressive. But has tremendous innovation in his skills. But he's a fundamentalist. He's demanding. He knows what excellence looks like, and he's has blended well with the rest of our staff, who, again, most of them he had previous relationships as well. So it's been a fine oiled machine, if you will, up to this point.
Coach, welcome to the SEC, and thank you for your time this afternoon.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
So there you go, Coach Brenton Venables, his first exposure. Oh, wait a minute, I should turn over to the camera here. His first exposure here at SEC Media Days. All right, we'll get a break in here. We'll come back with more right after this. It's the Tom Abraham Show, live on location here in Dallas.
You're listening to the Tom Abraham Show.
Okay, we need to do our predictions for these teams.
Today's coverage of SEC Media Days is brought to you by North Alabama Mortgage, serving the states of Alabama, Tennessee, and Florida. Your home loan starts here. Online at NorthAlabamaMortgage.com.
Embark on a flavorful journey at the Brewers Cooperative. Located within the vibrant community hub of Stovehouse in Huntsville, our brewery isn't just about crafting exceptional beers. It's a destination where culinary delights and local brews harmonize. Whether you're seeking a laid-back lunch or a lively dinner with friends, our diverse menu has something to please every palate. With a commitment to quality and a passion for innovation, we invite you to savor the unique flavors of Huntsville's craft beer scene at the Brewers Cooperative. Call 256-678-7036. The Brewers Cooperative.
Ann Adams with Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate is the one name to know if you're buying or selling real estate. With years of local experience, Ann Adams offers buyers in-depth knowledge of the local housing market and will narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in so you can save time when shopping for your new home. If you're ready to sell, Ann offers a seamless process using accurate pricing and expert negotiation skills to make sure you get a fair price for your home. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or log on bhhsriserealestate.com.
Hello, listeners. I want to tell you a little bit about Minuteman Press and what we have to offer our community. We specialize in paper printing and can help from designing your piece to the finished product. We print media guides for many of the athletic departments at high schools and universities around the area. We typically purchase sponsorships from these schools as well to try and help them with their fundraising. Once we have reached our new normal, we also print all types of marketing materials for you to hand out either in person, via mail, or at various trade shows and events. At Minuteman Press, we're not just putting ink on paper, we're building relationships.
From heirloom diamonds to contemporary jewels, Loring & Company is the place to find something truly special. Whether shopping for a diamond ring for that once-in-a-lifetime occasion or marking a milestone birthday or personal achievement with a Rolex watch, you'll find just the thing in our edit of the world's most sought-after brands, including David Yurman, Roberto Coin, Marco Bicego, and Fopay. Expect a treasure trove of the world's most unique, even breathtaking earrings, rings, necklaces, and bracelets, making choosing just one piece a challenge in itself. Loring & Company Jewelers on Airport Road.
You need a lawyer and pick up the phone. I'm attorney Gary Lackey. When you call for a lawyer, where does that phone ring? My phone rings in my office.
I'm attorney Justin Lackey. My phone rings in my office too.
So does mine. I'm attorney Jennifer Lackey. And when you've been hurt and need help, we're the ones who take your call.
The Lackey Law Firm. The Lackey Law Family. 1-800-4RIGHTS.
Your representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
With Progressive's Name Your Price tool, you can easily find coverage options that fit your budget. If only it was that easy to name your baby.
How about Jaden?
No.
Okay. Michael?
Went to middle school with a glue-eating Michael.
Sebastian?
Dated one in college.
How about Damien?
Vampire name.
All right. Greg?
Not feeling it.
Okay. No worries. No worries. Jeffrey?
Oh, love that one.
Wait, really?
No.
Find coverage options that fit your budget with Progressive's Name Your Price tool. Get a quote at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. Not available in all states.
WZZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. Today's coverage of SEC Media Days is brought to you by North Alabama Mortgage, serving the states of Alabama, Tennessee, and Florida. Your home loan starts here. Online at NorthAlabamaMortgage.com. From Coleman to Fayetteville and all points in between.
Son, pull the hammer back. Smokey's coming at you in a plain white wrapper.
97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
And welcome back. Tom Abraham Show. Live on location, day 2 here in Dallas. Glad you are with us. All right, phone lines are open. If you want to slide in, you can do it. 256-576-4977. That goes for you that are, listening to the show in the 931. You can jump in as well right there at 256-576-4977. Or like Paulie in the Cape, who just got in. It's Cape Coral, Florida, weighing in. We still got listeners down there that listen to the show and all other parts, wherever they are. We probably won't hear from Brandon because he's like on a mountain in Colorado or something. I don't know where the heck he is. He listens over in Rome, Georgia, typically, but I don't think that we are going to hear from him today. But you never know. Okay, you never know when that might happen. All right, we'll get our clock back straightened out here in a minute, but let's start. We got to take a look at the 4 teams. Now, each and every day of SEC Media Days, I predict the record for all 4 teams. I look at the games that are toss-up games for each team, and then kind of pick out the ones that I think are certain wins and losses, and then get a sense of how many of those toss-up games they are going to win. All right, Grizz, are you ready to participate in this fine endeavor? All right, we're going to start with Oklahoma since we just heard from Brent Venables. We will start with Oklahoma, and I think that there are certain wins on their schedule. I think they are going to beat Temple, Houston, and Tulane to get the season started. Toss-up game for them, number 1, huge game is that game against Tennessee, which will be in Norman. And then I also believe that the game at Auburn is a toss-up game. So I think they're playing 2 toss-up games in a row. I think they're losing to Texas, and I think they're losing at Oxford to Ole Miss, all right? So I think Oklahoma, they have more toss-up games than any other team because I think they finish with 3 games that are toss-up games. I think going to Columbia, Missouri for Oklahoma is a toss-up. I think hosting Alabama at Norman, I can't just automatically say that's a definite win for Alabama. I think that's a toss-up game. I think Alabama will be a slight favorite going in there in that game, and I think that Oklahoma going to LSU is a toss-up game. So I think the losses are Texas and Dallas, and at Ole Miss. So 5 toss-up games. If they can somehow figure out a way to win 3 of those, and I think they're going to beat Tennessee in Norman. I think they'll beat them. But if they can win 3 of those 5 toss-up games, they're in a 7-5 type of team, and that's where I've got them right now. I've got them at 7-5, 8-4. I'm going to say 7-5 for Oklahoma. What do you got?
I feel on the verge of being like 6-6 or 7-5. To be honest with you, I mean, down that stretch, I mean, you've got Tennessee, Auburn, Oklahoma. Who knows about South Carolina, Ole Miss? I mean, there's just too many good games right here. Outside of the Missouri LSU game, I know that they're going to win these non-conference games, but I just think that going into Auburn is going to be pretty tough. I mean, Jordan Hare's got to be tough, right? I mean, even it doesn't matter what year it is, Alabama, whoever, it should be tough for Oklahoma, a new team coming in, and I just feel like I'm going to go 6-6 here.
All right, so of the 5 toss-up games, you're thinking. Do you think the game against Texas is a toss-up game? Because I have that as a loss. I have that as a loss, and I have the game at Ole Miss as a loss.
I just feel like if it's anything like it's supposed to be this great rivalry, it shouldn't matter. And at the end of the day, it should be. It should be like the Alabamas and Auburns of the world, where it doesn't matter what their records are. I mean, it should be, pretty much a toss-up game.
Yeah.
What's going to happen in this game?
Well, they beat them last year. They beat Texas last year. So, there is a little bit of a snake effect there, but I think Texas is the better football team there. So you got them 6-6. I got them 7-5. So we're
6,
yeah, we're close there. All right, let's take a look at Tennessee then. Tennessee non-conference schedule is pretty much garbage. All right, Chattanooga. The NC State game is a game. I understand it's an ACC team. Tennessee's going to be favored in that game by 7 or 8 points. I think they beat NC State in Charlotte. Certainly they beat Kent State, and they beat UTEP, their other non-conference games. At Oklahoma, that's a huge toss-up game. Now, that's the one we just talked about. It's a toss-up game for Oklahoma. It's a toss-up game for Tennessee. I think they beat Florida in Knoxville. They beat Arkansas in Fayetteville. I'm gonna tag them with a loss against Alabama. I think Alabama's going to go there and beat them. I think they'll beat Kentucky and Mississippi State. I think they lose at Georgia. And then they finish with a couple of wins against UTEP and Vanderbilt. So I have them one toss-up game, really, for the most part, and that is the Oklahoma game. But I have them at 9-3. I think Oklahoma's going to pull that game out. I think they lose. I think that there's a possibility that there'll be a 9-3 team in the college football playoff, but it's not going to be Tennessee, because I think they're going to lose to Oklahoma, Alabama, and Georgia. And if you don't beat one of those 3, I think you could survive an upset better than you can survive not beating anybody. And I don't think they're beating anybody of note. So I got them at 9-3, largely due to their schedule.
I'm going to have to agree with you on the schedule, but I don't think they're going to lose to Oklahoma. I think they might slip up against that Florida team, possibly the week before the Alabama game. So I would take the 9-3 game down that stretch, having to play Arkansas, Florida, then Alabama, then Kentucky right after. I think they might slip up in between that stretch.
I would have a little bit more confidence in the Florida game if it were in Florida. The fact that it's the fact that it's up there now. So you're saying they get upset somewhere, and that's the thing, is that I think they'll be favored in 9 games, and they'll win the 9 games that they're favored in. So I got them at 9-3. But okay. All right, let's take a look at, let's see, Tennessee, and let's see, who was, Georgia. All right, so let's take a look at Georgia then. When you look at Georgia, and we'll do Mizzou after the break. When you look at Georgia, their toss-up game is in Tuscaloosa. Alabama will be a favorite in that game, but I think that's a toss-up game at Tuscaloosa. They have a toss-up game at Texas, and they have a toss-up game at Ole Miss. 3 tough road games. I think they'll figure out a way to win 2 of the 3 with a returning quarterback. I got Georgia at 11-1, but for the first time in 3 years, Georgia loses a regular season game. I'm not sitting here saying which one it'll be, but I'm going to say right now they're 11-1, and they go 2. They're going to lose one of those 3 games at Alabama, at Texas, or at Ole Miss. They could lose 2 of those games and be 10-2, but I say they'll win 2 out of 3.
If I had to choose the top 2, I still had to pick Georgia and then Alabama, and I'd still think somewhere someone's going to get that one loss, Georgia and Alabama, and I think they're going to win throughout. So I think if it's not the Alabama game, it's possibly the Texas game. I just don't see them losing down later in the season to Ole Miss to have that one loss and then meet Alabama in the SEC championship game.
Ooh, so you have them. We haven't even done Alabama yet. You're thinking it's
I didn't mean to
so you're thinking Alabama and Georgia. That's okay. All right. A lot of people are going to be picking Georgia and Tennessee, so you got Georgia and Alabama. But you're not the only one. I think Greg McElroy, he has a little bit of a rooting interest. But
I just think that there's a lot of disrespect in the starting quarterback and what's returning, and then the head coach. It's like, what do you not see right here? You know what I mean? I feel like it should be a pretty easy transition.
Saying 11 and
one loss, it's 2 losses.
Yeah, saying 11-1, 10-2 is not really, I don't think, too much disrespect to them. They got a tough schedule. They have played some popcorn schedules here in recent years, but they've got a little bit of a tougher schedule. All right, we'll get a break in here, and when we come back, we'll talk a little bit of Missouri, and we'll give you what their numbers will be. Eli Drinkwitz will be on after we're off the air, and he's always entertaining. He's usually a pretty entertaining guy. I'm looking forward to sliding into the main media room and listening to Eli Drinkwitz. But we'll do Missouri to finish off our 4 teams next, right here on the Tom Abraham Show, live at SEC Media Days in Dallas.
You're listening to the Tom Abraham Show on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Today's coverage of SEC Media Days is brought to you by North Alabama Mortgage, serving the states of Alabama, Tennessee, and Florida. Your home loan starts here. Online at NorthAlabamaMortgage.com.
Are you tired of power outages disrupting your life? It's time for a Generac standby generator from Current Electrical. Storms may rage outside, but inside your family's powered up. So why choose Current Electrical for your generator needs? 1, we offer a wide range of models to suit every budgeted energy requirement. 2, our project managers handle every step of the process: power, gas, permitting, and inspections. 3, our certified technicians install your generator with precision, ensuring peace of mind. Don't wait for the next blackout. Call 256-880-1880 or visit us online at JetSuperstore.com.
You need a lawyer and pick up the phone. I'm attorney Gary Lackey. When you call for a lawyer, where does that phone ring? It might be in a call center somewhere, maybe 100 miles away, but my phone rings in my office.
The Lackey Law Firm.
I'm attorney Justin Lackey. My phone rings in my office too.
So does mine. I'm attorney Jennifer Lackey. And when you've been hurt and need help, we're here. We're the ones who take your call.
And get what you deserve.
You want to talk to your lawyer. You don't want to reach a call center. With the Lackey Law Firm, that never happens.
The Lackey Law Firm.
And this is the most important part. We'll treat you like family because that's exactly what we are.
The Lackey Law Firm.
And I'll go you one better. If you can't come to us, we'll come to you.
The Lackey Law Firm. The Lackey Law Family. 1-800-4-RIGHTS.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
Tom Luganville here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
At Bad Daddy's Burger Bar, we love baseball almost as much as we love serving up the best and baddest burgers around. People have called our burgers totally insane. And at Bad Daddy's, we take that as a compliment. But it's not just burgers. Up first, starters like our fried pickles, wings, or poblano frites. Second, try one of Bad Daddy's giant chopped salads. Third, our famous chef-inspired burgers with lots of different taste options. And before you head home, finish up with one of our shakes or delicious banana pudding. Bad Daddy's Burger Bar on the Parkway in Huntsville and Cliff Farm in Madison. SportsMed is the official team physicians of the Rocket City Trash Pandas. And if the pros trust SportsMed, you can too. SportsMed provides every service you might need for complete orthopedic care, specializing in orthopedic surgery, sports medicine, joint replacement, spine surgery, neurosurgery, and podiatry. And they offer their own brace shop, in-house full-body MRI, physical therapy, walk-in clinic, and so much more. 4 locations and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com. Ann Adams with Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate is the one name to know if you're buying or selling real estate. With years of local experience, Ann Adams offers buyers in-depth knowledge of the local housing market and will narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in so you can save time when shopping for your new home. If you're ready to sell, Ann offers a seamless process using accurate pricing and expert negotiation skills to make sure you get a fair price for your home. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or log on bhhsriserealestate.com. By now, you know about Eagle Masonry and Insulation, and maybe you know that Eagle also does landscaping and dirt work. But how about after paint work? Shower doors, shelving, and mirrors, all taken care of by Eagle, the same Eagle that takes care of all your masonry, insulation, and landscaping needs. Eagle brings the same level of expertise to all these disciplines, and they're ready to provide you with a free quote. The website is the same, insulatewitheagle.com, as is the phone number, 256-755-1556. Give them a call and see what Eagle can do for you. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
Today's coverage of SEC Media Days is brought to you by North Alabama Mortgage, serving the states of Alabama, Tennessee, and Florida. Your home loan starts here. Online at northalabamamortgage.com. Each week, check out our latest zone deal online at 977ESPN.com.
I'm eating good food.
We are 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Tom Abraham Show on location in Dallas, SEC Media Day 2. And we want to thank all our fine sponsors for making it possible for us to be here, but especially Owen Home Appliance as well. You know, it's freezer season right now. And if you think it's freezer season in Alabama, you should be over here in Dallas. It was 101 degrees here yesterday, but it is freezer season at Owen Home Appliance. So if those rising temps have your freezer on its last leg, check out their name brand, frost-free, upright, and chest freezers. And best of all, they got them in stock. And while supplies last, you get a $50 gift card towards the purchase of Wagyu beef when you purchase a freezer at Owen Home Appliance Center. Quality products, quality pricing, quality service. It's right there in the name. And yes, those of you listening in the 931, it's not that far a drive. They're about 8 miles south of the river, and you'll be able to land right there at Owen Home Appliance Center. All right, Grizz, let's finish up before we bring in our guest. Let's finish up with Missouri. This is a popcorn schedule. I mean, they're Murray State, Buffalo, Boston College, all at home. Their other non-conference game is a UMass, all right? And they're going to UMass. Figure that out, right? I don't know how they're going. Yeah, watch out for the Minutemen. So that's 4 automatically. They get Vanderbilt at home. Okay, they get Auburn at home. I say that they're going to beat Auburn at home. It's a quirky place to go play at. I say they beat Auburn at home. I think that they're also going to beat South Carolina. I got them beating Mississippi State and Arkansas. So that leaves the toss-up game, which is the Oklahoma game at home. And I got them losing to Texas A&M and Alabama. I've got Missouri at 9-3 by default. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm on the same path as you are. I have 9-3. I have them actually beating Oklahoma. I have them kind of like, I think I had them at 5th or 6th or something like that in the SEC. I think they're much better offensively. I think I like what Eli Drinkwitz is doing over there in Missouri. But I think down that stretch, I think they could lose possibly at Texas A&M or Auburn. And then obviously Alabama at Alabama. So I think 9-3 as well, losing probably to Auburn and Texas A&M.
Not a 9-3 to get you in the playoff. All right. Some people talk about now if they were to go and dump somebody, they'd have to dump somebody on this thing. If they were to turn around and if they won at Texas A&M and they beat Oklahoma and only lost to Alabama, or if they're 10-2, they'll get in. I think any 10-2 SEC team would get into the deal. All right, joining us now to talk a little Tennessee, who was making the rounds earlier today, Vince Ferrara from the Sports Animal up there. He's on our payroll as well because he comes on every single show we got. I think. How you doing, Vincenzo?
I'm good. I'm anxiously awaiting that direct deposit. So maybe it'll come through.
We work for the station, and we're still waiting for direct deposit too. So that's a whole other story. But
hey, working in radio, man, you get paid in like coupons and free stuff,
So I got to tell a story. I think that this is a fun story, especially with my youngest son that works at our radio station now for the last couple of years. But Vince, for those of you that are listening, at ESPN Winchester on 1040 and 106.9, Vince actually gave my oldest son his first radio job, hired him as a board op intern slappy when he was at the University of Alabama. And Vince was that station the Tusk?
The Tusk.
He was at the Tusk isn't even around anymore, is it?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. I don't think they call it the Tusk. I know the signal's around, but right. So you actually not to make you feel old, to make you feel old.
Too late.
But the kid that you gave a job to as an intern now is a station owner.
That is amazing.
That's weird. And we're still slogging around here doing this stuff.
I'm just going to credit your son for being so successful so young. That's how I'll justify
He's not that young. I got news for you. He's 35 years old.
Relative to
us. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So that's neat. And
that's awesome, man.
That is cool.
That's cool.
It is cool. And, and he general managed a 3 radio station cluster in Tullahoma before that, and then decided to buy a station and flipped it. In 2 weeks, flipped it to ESPN, and now he's doing a morning show. I surprised you. He had Josh Ward on his show. I gave him 2 guys. I gave him Vince Ferrara and Josh Ward, and he called Josh.
Yeah, how about that?
I'm like, what the heck is up with that?
Hey, it's the way it is at the Sports Animal. Yeah. That's the ranking at the Sports Animal too.
I guess he worked with me. Joe worked with me when I was in Nashville, and Josh was a weekly regular on my show there. Yeah. It was before Josh was hosting regular at the Sports Animal, and so Joe used to set that up and call him. So he had a relationship already with Josh. Of course, he had a relationship with you, but you might intimidate him because you were his boss. You know what I mean?
Not anymore. You may want to get back at me.
Exactly. All right. So Chad and I just went through the 4 teams that are on. I predict every game for every team while we're here at SEC Media Day. So we went through these. And with Tennessee, who you cover, of course, up there at the Sports Animal, I have Tennessee with one big-time win-loss toss-up game, and it's the game at Oklahoma. I think there's going to be a ton of emotion there when they go to Oklahoma. I think Alabama and Georgia are going to be tough ones for them. They do get Alabama at home, but I think that Oklahoma game is the difference between 10-2 and being a playoff team, and 9-3 and getting a good bowl game. What do you think?
I definitely think it's a swing game. I think for Tennessee and Oklahoma, honestly. I think
that game is going to determine where both programs are going.
And think of the overreaction on both sides. If Oklahoma loses at home in its first SEC game to Josh Heupel in Tennessee, can you imagine the reaction to that? Oh, they're not ready for the SEC. We just gave Brent Venables a contract. There's going to be so much overreaction. If they win, then it is on, and you're off to the races because they'll probably be undefeated at that point anyway, and then they'll feel good about themselves. And
they'll turn around and get whacked the next week at Auburn or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
when Oklahoma goes on the road because they always, they lose some. They always seem to lose some games that make you say, And Oklahoma's got a brutal schedule. I mean, because then they've got to play Dallas in the shootout. They go to Ole Miss. They got to go to Missouri, and I don't think that's a layup. But certainly, when they get to Missouri, one of their old foes from the Big 12. And they do get Alabama at home, but it's still Alabama. And then they go to Baton Rouge. So, they could beat Tennessee and still be 8-4.
It's the toughest schedule of the 16 teams in the SEC. And if you look at the Vegas win totals, now certainly there's some variance here and there. But the TV show that I'm on in Knoxville, they ran some numbers, like the total wins for each school of their opponents. And Missouri's at the bottom, and Tennessee's not too far away, actually. Yeah. And Oklahoma is at the very top with the most opponent wins projected by Vegas. It is the toughest schedule. It is brutal. And so that's another reason why there'll be overreaction, because if they lose that game, and then you look at how daunting the rest of the schedule is, it'll be tough for them. And I agree with you. It's a difference for Tennessee between 10-2 and 9-3. Now, there's some other landmine games. There's some other games that can take your season in different directions. What if they lose to Florida again? I mean, that they've lost to lesser.
Though
I don't think it's going to happen, but Tennessee fans, like we're hearing from them, that some of them think, okay, Tennessee might go 10-2, but that second loss might be to Florida, not Alabama, because of the history there. How lesser average or below average Florida teams have found ways to beat Tennessee. Until they break through with that, and maybe multiple times and it's washed away, I think you're going to still kind of default to maybe that is the trip up game. You go through the schedule, and I agree with a lot of what you're talking about, but there's been some lose to somebody you shouldn't and beat somebody you're not supposed to. There's been a little bit of that with Josh Heupel, and you see that regularly around college football. So maybe it doesn't look like it does on paper.
Drew Darman has them at 7-5, but you can't take
Tennessee.
You got to take that with a grain of salt. And I mean, it's true. You know what I mean? I mean, it's true.
He's been like when we've talked to Tennessee basketball or baseball, he's been high on that. I didn't just think it was just Tennessee.
Well, Philip Fulmer didn't coach the baseball or the basketball team, so I think that's probably it. And we're on in Philip Fulmer's hometown now of Winchester, Tennessee, where I actually John's senior year playing football. John was an outstanding wide receiver there at Franklin County, playing for the Franklin County Rebels there, and they were having their spring game, and Philip's mom still lives in Winchester, where Philip played for the Rebels himself, and so I go to the spring game, John's senior year, and there's Philip Fulmer up in the stands, sitting way up at the top, all the way at when he was the AD, just kind of hanging out at a place. His name is on a plaque at the stadium there, and the road I live on, for me to get to I live a mile from the ramp at the lake right there, and when I go down my road, it starts out as South High Street and turns into Philip Fulmer Highway.
Nice.
And I got to drive down Philip Fulmer Highway, and there's a big power T right where it changes to Philip Fulmer Highway. But Philip was always good to me. He was always nice to me. He was he always asked about the kids and everything else. All right, so let's talk about the quarterback. Now, all year it was Nico Iamaleava is what I was saying, but it's not. It's Ima something. How are we going to say it?
Iamaleava.
Iamaleava. 5 syllables?
Yeah.
Iamaleava.
Nico Iamaleava.
Iamaleava. Okay, so there you go. There's
just Nico works, and everybody will know what you're talking about.
And away we go, I guess. There's talk about what he can do. He's better than Hendon Hooker and everything else. Okay. Now it's time to put up, and let's see that. I mean, is all the indications going in that direction?
Absolutely. Now, better than Hendon Hooker. Maybe we slow down on that. I mean, this will be his first year as a starter. I think the offense is going to be better and more explosive than it was last year. And I think if you're going to be closer to one type of offense, I do think they'll be closer to the 2022 with Hooker at quarterback than last year, where they weren't very good down the field. And that they were fantastic down the field the year before with high mismatches with linebackers and all that. They'll be closer to that, even if they're not that this year, than they will last year, where they're 25, 30%, down the field with long throws with Milton.
Well, Joe Milton, I mean, come on. I mean, the joke was that you could send Joe Milton to Russia because he could overthrow Putin.
I did not hear that one, but the point is,
Alabama,
and look, the practices are so different now. Yeah. When we watch them in the spring, Nico would throw a pass in a drill and then immediately set up for the next one, or talk to a receiver if his rotation was done. And he's all about business, man. He's not about talk and all this. Joe Milton would throw a pass in practice and then he either start dancing or he start getting guys hyped up. He was more of a verbal leader, where Nico is about business. And I think I asked Heupel about this in our local Avail interview with him today. Is Nico does he have the perfect mentality, kind of like a flatliner, not too high, not too low, for that offense? Absolutely, because Hendon Hooker was that way also. So Hooker had a lot of experience, mature, but man, this guy he was okay with not playing last year. The fans wanted him to play instead of Milton, but he was okay because he knew he had a lot to learn about the offense, about his teammates. And then he had to fill out a little bit, added 15 pounds, and then we'll see what he looks like. He may have added some more since the spring. So all those things, he understands that. People talk about him being humble. He had the label of Mr. NIL, initially with the
$8 million.
Yeah. But absolutely no one says that he is like that and wanting, all the attention, things like that. So I think from everything the players say and what we've seen, I think he does check a lot of those boxes. Maybe it's 2025 when you start getting into the Heisman conversation. But, man, I think with that upside and that talent as a former 5-star and what we saw in the bowl game, I think he can be really, really good pretty quickly.
Josh Heupel teams can always play offense, though.
Yeah.
That's not the question. So
Right.
where are they defensively? Are they be able to win a slobber knocker if it comes down to it?
Well, it's a great question because that you talk about swing games, how the season goes will be based on this defense because I feel confident that Nico and this offense is going to be pretty good. Good set of receivers, good but not deep at running back, and then pretty experienced on the O-line. But the defense is where they have some question marks. Now it's more on the back end. They gave up way too many explosive plays again last year, and a lot of those guys hit the portal or graduated. And they added a number of guys in the portal. Jacoby Thomas from MTSU, Dramon McCoy from Oregon State, who probably will be a starting corner. Added a kid from Temple as well. So they added guys in the portal, getting a couple guys back from injury. So it's going to be a different look. I talked to Keenan Peely about them. He's like, man, they are fast. They're athletic. He really likes that group in the back end. They need to be opportunistic. They're not going to shut people down like the Georgia defenses from a couple of years ago, but they just need to make a key pick or a key sack to close out a ball game if it's 45 to 38 and you need a stop and to win it. They don't have that kind of defense to win a slobber knocker, kind of what you said, unless they're Iowa's offense.
Yeah.
Then they do. But they have a chance to build and become more respectable and better than they were a year ago because of that defensive line. That defense is 4 deep on the D-line under Rodney Garner, and it's as good a D-line as I can remember cover. I've been there since 2010. They're deep. They have James Pierce Jr. off the edge, DN/outside linebacker. He's in that group. He might be a top 5 pick next year.
Wow.
And if it was Nico and James Pierce here and fill in the blank in the 3, they would have as good a trio as anyone here at Media Days. But they need a second pass rusher to establish and be a threat opposite of Pierce. But if they develop that and you get Keenan Peely back, man, he was the player of the game defensively in their opener against Virginia and Nashville last year. He got hurt in that game, and then he was out for the rest of the season. Getting a 25-year-old that knows what he's doing, it's a great leader, the former BYU Cougar. Man, he was here at Media Days. That's a difference making because they had a second-year linebacker that hadn't played a lot in Elijah Herring who had to jump in that spot. So it wasn't ideal. Now they can slow play some of those young guys around him at linebacker. So the front 7 getting Peely back at Mike linebacker. Then if you get enough pieces on the back end, then you have a chance to be a better defense and at least give yourself an opportunity.
I like what Heupel did by not bringing Nico here. I thought that was kind of a cool move because he really hadn't done it. He hasn't earned those stripes yet, and he wouldn't want to take away from those other guys that he did bring.
No surprise he was asked about that. Why didn't you bring Nico? And he says, it's not about that I didn't bring Nico. It's the guys that I did bring because those are all seniors that have been around. Now, personally, there's so many guys that are worthy that could have come here for Tennessee. Amari Thomas is one of 2 players, along with Landon Jackson from Arkansas, that came back-to-back years. I'm not crazy about that. Let some other guys get opportunities. Yeah. That being said, he's really good, and he was again today, and the class act and earned it. But there are other guys that are worthy of it too. Look, spread that out. Once you bring one year, let him go. Nico will be here next year, and so. He's a redshirt freshman. Nobody brings redshirt
2 years.
Yeah, that's right. Unless he goes to the NFL.
Yeah, unless he has that kind of a season. Yeah.
Right. But they don't bring redshirt freshmen here. So, and he's still a little bit soft spoken. Let him go through a year of being the dude QB1 and handling all the media. and then you put him on the stage. James Pierce Jr. is the highest profile, honestly, maybe the best individual player, but he's also not really super comfortable with the media, so that's why he's not here, even though he's a third-year player. You don't put them in that kind of situation here. Maybe next year, well, actually, he's probably going to go to the draft, so he'll skip out on it, but you have other guys that are willing to do it and have earned it. He's not going to put guys in tough situations, and Heupel is not about splash or getting attention. He just wants to kind of get through this and not say anything stupid, not make it a tough experience for any of those players.
It's been a fun couple of days so far in Dallas. I mean, that's kind of, I'm looking forward to being back in Atlanta next year. I don't think we're ever going back to Hoover unless they build a hotel somewhere in Birmingham. I talked to Craig Pinkerton about it, and I said, is there anywhere in Hoover or in Birmingham where they could host something like this? And he said, not anymore. He goes, they just couldn't do it. I mean, they just don't have the size. We'll be cramped a little bit next year, being at the College Football Hall of Fame. Right. But he says there's nowhere back in Birmingham we could do it. So
I still want to see them take a next step for Atlanta, because the second time in Atlanta was better than the first time.
Well, and from what I understand, it's going to be just like that, like what we did the second time. It was still spread out, but at least for Radio Row, I thought it was great being in the College Football Hall of Fame. What I miss is the fans. We always had fans in Hoover and stuff. Right. I went and took a peek earlier, and there were 3 Tennessee fans and 4 Georgia fans down in the lobby. They didn't even have a bullpen up. It was like, come on, man.
We found, I don't know who he was a fan of, but we found an inebriated fan on Sunday night when we were setting up. Like, he made his way in here. There was no checkpoints or anything. And he came and tried to chat us up. We
found one last night singing the national anthem.
Oh, wow.
Did you see the statement? Have you seen? She said, apologized. She said she was drunk. She checked into rehab today. She said that she was drunk. She apologized to the country and to MLB and said that she was hammered. And I got her name written down somewhere here. I don't know what her name was. She was I don't know what I know one. But anyway, God, I don't know who the hell she was anyway. You know what I mean? It wasn't Chris Stapleton, so I don't know. But anyway, good to always good to see you, man.
Good to see you, man.
I appreciate you. All right, that's going to do it for us. Coming up next, it's the Paul Finebaum Show. I'm Tom Abraham, live in Dallas. SEC Media Days.